around and make money and you want to be seen and heard and want to call yourself this, that, and the third when you ain't that, and just showing up at court proves you ain't that, you're going to have a problem on your hands when it comes to the karma, because you weren't pure-hearted. You weren't doing this because of conviction and what's true and what's right. You're doing this because you want to be seen and heard and validated, and you want to get benefits and privileges off of making this a career, right? That's not what being honorable and good faith and presentable is about. Furthermore, if you're going to call yourself a constitutional scholar, you can't show up and let a bar attorney, legal society coward speak for you. It makes you equal, if not worse off, than what they are that you say you're fighting against. Right? This is all mirrors and holographic reflections of self in this life. You know, we oftentimes point at the same thing that we are in a different form and act like there's going to be a validation or credibility there. It's foolishness. It's a lack of insight. It's a lack of awareness of self and others and how this dynamic perpetuates. Hate never once conquered hate. Only love conquers love. And I'm not talking about that romantic feeling-based love necessarily. I'm talking about a sentiment, right? True care, true love for self and what's right, enough to do it in place of all things, people, places, and things, right? That's priority. That's true self-love and self-care. That's true love and care for what's right. That's true love and care for your family and your land and your future. It's going to be based in what you do, your intention, how you live, and the results. And calling yourself one thing and selling a bunch of fake ass products and then showing up and being something else and asking for more, that ain't it as far as I can tell. But who am I? I'm just a god of all media, in quotes. I ain't the god of creation. I can't judge or condemn, nor would I if I could. Right? I don't need to. The truth stands on its own. My experience stands on its own. I contend if Brian O'Shea does show up at court and moves forward and he just speaks his piece, he's going to walk the fuck out of there with something a lot different than what Chile de Castro did, because intention and actions and results matter, and the conviction matters, and your status and standing matters. You want to be recognized as a man? You show up as a man and you speak as a man. If you're not going to show up as a man and talk for yourself, don't fucking show up at all. How about that? The same way I tell you if you're going to work a job as a man. If you ain't going to come to this job and put your all into it and really succeed and excel, don't fucking show up at all. Because if you send some half-ass jerk off in place of you, we're going to have a problem. This is what folks need to learn in this life now more than ever. The same thing I have to learn continually. How to be a better fucking man. Separate from your wants and non-wants, your desirous ego and your pride that enables that ego. False sense of self.
So I got this Carl Lentz, and another stepdad of mine, Carl Lentz. He's fucking 1 for 1 with how you talk, Paul. So I don't know. Was he an influence on you? Because
absolutely, but the common law comes back to a common lore. Common lore is unwritten; it's spoken. Most good history, most good teaching in life, from man to man, comes in spoken word. It's not written down, right? So that's how you grow up as a father with a son, with the common lore. Hey, son, this is what we do. You know, handshake is your bond. Make eye contact when you talk to somebody. Stand up. You know, be a respectful, honorable, good faith, presentable man. Keep your word, right? Be on time. Be early. Be prompt. You know, so this is a common lore. This is where we get the idea of common law. It really just comes down to common sense, which, as we know more and more each day, we're lacking as a whole. So yes, he was a great influence to me in certain ways. And then I had to take the perspective and the understanding and the wisdom of the common sense applied with the legal lawful sort of understanding, and then amalgamate that and communicate that, and more importantly, live that. So yeah, if you look at Carl Lentz and you listen to him speak, he's an intelligent man, but the majority of what he's saying just comes back to common sense. Right. And that's where we get the common law or the common lore, is that you don't have to tell, like you said, any man, anywhere, a dog, a cat, that stealing something off someone's plate is wrong. And you're going to get consequences for that. Same thing with lying and all the rest of it. Can we please have these folks come up? Brian O'Shea, if you see these people down there, offer them a link, please. And if they want to continue cycling and spinning and projecting onto me, then they just get removed. We're not playing this game. You folks have open forum to speak with me. If you want to question me, critique me, hold me accountable, it's open season. I'm open for it. If you can't summon the will or the courage to come up here and have a direct interaction with me, and you want to continue with the power games from chat, I have to have you removed. You're a distraction and an impediment at that point, and I can't really do much with you as far as content. Go ahead, Mr. O'Shea. They're still wondering down there, some of the dunces who haven't listened, even though they're here every day, what my experiences are, where I draw conclusions, hypothesis, or commentary on what experiences I've had. They don't know what I'm talking about, apparently. The willingly obtuse.
Yeah, just step out in the faith and face your fears. Walk towards them.
You know what, Brian O'Shea? Let's answer the question for him. I'm sorry that I cut you off. I always do this to you. It really is fucking rude of me. Can we just show him and others maybe like my experiences? Maybe even yours? You know, we can just go over it since they don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like right before this ruling in Denver, I fucking took the plates off. I put the cardboard sign in the back. I fucking drove to the police station to buy a cop lunch for fucking holding up my fucking rights in the Starbucks. So I'm not fucking belligerent, calling them fucking pigs. I'm the fucking opposite. Hey, can I clean up around here? Can I clean up your town? Can I buy you lunch because you're a fucking honorable servant? Hello? Is this thing on? Yeah, and then I drove back to the fucking spot where I put my fucking tent up at night, and the fucking cop was behind me and I was scared. I drove into his lane. I didn't swerve to get away from him. He was behind me. I drove in his lane. We stopped at the light. He's directly behind me. I got no fucking plates on, completely ready to not ID, completely ready to go to jail in the same county that I have all the charges with Vegas in. So I'm in Nevada, in the same fucking county, with a cop behind me, and I got no fucking plates on. The cop did not pull me over, went about his fucking business. Now I'm in Utah, no fucking plates on, ready to do the same fucking shit. But hearing the stuff in Denver and fucking powers me, emboldens me. Now I got more ammo, I feel like, when I'm fucking do what you guys got to do. This shit's right. Like, you guys, when the real problem's coming. So do what you got to do now, because you guys later on are gonna be looking real fucking stupid. Just like everyone in chat. Once this stuff all gets better, you're gonna be looking real fucking stupid that you didn't fucking jump on board like me and others, stepping out in faith, and just fucking going for it, trusting your gut. Hey, this seems right. That seems wrong.
My whole life is a lie, Brian O'Shea. See how I play to the lowest common denominator? We're waiting for the cowards. The rest of us here, we play to the lowest common denominator here because we're desperate for the cowards to stand up and stand out, show who and what they are, really get a voice, speak. Begging you for yourself. Come on up. I'm a fill in the blank. You've been here for over a year and a half. My whole life is a lie. What's all that content on the first channel that can't be found by searching the name of it? What is that? Doesn't seem like a lie to me. Seems like I'm living my truth and information all times, all places with everyone over and over again, despite consequences and willing sacrifice. That's what it seems like to me and many others here. Trying to help you get a more accurate picture of who and what I am, and by proxy, who and what you are. Where are all these random accounts coming from all of a sudden? Demons. The demons woke up. They saw that Paulie Boy might have an interaction with somebody who they deemed to be like successful. So they woke up to come over here to be seen and heard for who and what they are. Low lives with little to no purpose and meaning. We do this here often. Okay, Brian O'Shea, let's move on. I'm not even going to go. I would show him the traveling video, which has been called the best traveling freely video on the internet. But probably most of the folks here have seen it, right? The no license, registration, insurance, and plates on Denver, where I was successful and left, where they eventually changed the code to not now pull over anyone or arrest anyone for anything traffic related, So I totally have nothing to do with that. I have no experiences. I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm talking about. I'm pretty much a waste of time. Go vote for Donald Trump. That's all I can tell you at this point. All right, let's get to some content here. This has pretty much become a clips broadcast, right? We watch different clips and ideas here. We talk about them, or we just experience them together. And of course, it's also open panel. So if folks want to come up, if they have something they want to talk about, legal, lawful, historical context, interpersonal dynamics and narratives, metaversal myths regarding miscreants, psychological, sociological commentary, it's all there for you folks. This is everything and nothing here. So use it for what it's meant for. If not, I'm just going to move along with a limited, semi-structured direction here. Docket, if you will. Unsubbed. Thank you, Gumpama. I never asked you to sub. Thank you for letting me know you unsubbed. I don't know what that's supposed to do for me. I'm supposed to completely change who and what I am and how I broadcast here because some nameless, faceless cretin in chat decided to sub and then unsub. Yeah, I'll get right on that. I'll change everything about who and what I am and what I'm doing for you. Oh, man. Knock, knock. There you go. Unsubbed. Thank you. Please feel free for all the folks who are nameless and faceless, purposeless, meaningless, valueless, don't have the balls to come up and speak, and don't have the balls to do anything in life other than what their weak-ass mommies and daddies have done. Feel free to unsubscribe right now. And I'll see you later. Make sure you don't come back. There's a lot of other places you guys can hang out and identify with folks just like you. I'm not one of them. Okay. Let's see. Where is that Bible scholar Giovanni? Not too sure what he's talking about. Apparently someone that we've interacted with in the past. Egos, egos, egos. Right. You just said ego 5 times. Interesting when they always call other people out for what they're doing in the moment. Fascinating inversion experience. All right, let's get to it. What do I got? Re-up James Freeman's first ever YouTube Border Patrol checkpoint refusal. Do you want to go to that? We've been doing checkpoint refusals lately just to kind of remind the slaves that they actually don't have to submit, cooperate, comply, all places, all times, that statute, policy, and code does not apply to them. Only the law of the land, which states statute, policy, and code is given the force of law through the consent of the governed. And obviously, universal law dictates and common law dictates, and the Constitution dictates we have a freedom of movement, freedom from search and seizure, and don't have to answer any questions. Right.
Hello, U.S. Border Patrol. Can you state your citizenship, please?
Sorry, who are you?
United States Border Patrol.
What's your name?
I'm Agent Gomez.
Agent Gomez. Badge number?
I don't have a badge number.
Do you have ID on you?
Can you state your citizenship, sir?
Do you have ID on you, sir?
I'm asking you a question here.
Do you have ID on you?
Oh, jeez.
Here, you're gonna have to hold it.
Okay. Do you have identification on you?
I'm asking you a simple question, sir. Where were you born?
Do you have identification on you? I just need to identify who you are.
I'm identified to you right here.
You could be anybody. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're doing. As far as I know, I'm
Stop at a U.S. immigration checkpoint. I'm identifying myself verbally to you.
okay. As far as I know, I am in the United States of America, and I can travel freely and not be stopped by agents who claim to be agents of the government unless you suspect me of a crime. Is that correct or no?
No, that's not correct, sir.
Okay.
Oye, gringo.
United States of America.
Yes, you are in the United States.
Okay, so that means that I can travel freely unless I'm suspected of a crime without being stopped by agents of the government. That is correct.
Okay, we can wait here, and if I could call the local sheriff's office, they could detain you for not.
Okay, I think that
not
the sheriff allows you to do this in their county. Does the sheriff allow you to do this in their county? I'm assuming, based on what you're telling me you're trying to do, that you suspect me of not being a U.S. citizen. Is that correct?
I'm asking you a simple question.
Okay, you don't get to stop me to ask me questions because you feel like it. You put a stop sign there, and I assume that since you have a firearm on you, that if I did not stop, you would try to use force against me. Is that correct? Is that correct?
Just answer the question.
Sir, if I did not stop, what would you do to me? Would you try to assault me?
Am I assaulting you right now?
No, you're not. But I stopped because of fear that you would attempt to if I did not stop. So I stopped out of fear. Do you understand that? Is that what you're trying to do? Are you trying to scare the people who live in this nation? Okay. Then what are you doing?
I'm asking you an immigration checkpoint. It's an immigration checkpoint.
Okay.
Okay, so you answer a question, a simple question.
And as far as the laws of this nation, I am not obligated to answer. You are more than welcome to ask. You can ask, and I'm not obligated to answer unless you can articulate.
Kingdom come, I guess.
Unless you can articulate a crime you suspect me of committing. Am I free to go then? Am I free to go?
No, you're not.
Am I being detained then? Am I being detained?
Question, and then you'll be, depending on what you answer, that's
So you're telling me I'm not free to go?
not right now because you have answered my
Okay, so am I being detained then?
Yes, you're being detained.
And what crime do you suspect?
Immigration checkpoint.
And what crime do you suspect me? You have to suspect me of a crime to detain me lawfully. Is that correct?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
No.
Because I'm enforcing immigration laws in a border zone which you chose to travel through.
I didn't choose to come through your. I'm traveling.
You
Yes.
chose to travel through the border zone.
Did I cross the border?
No, I said border zone.
What there?
Don't misconstrue my words.
Okay. So I have not crossed the border. Because if I had crossed the border, I would fully understand and I would hand over passport and anything and everything I need to. But I am not at a border, am I?
Yes, you are.
What border am I at?
You're in the the Mexican border.
I'm at the Mexican border. So you're telling me I crossed over into Mexico and I'm headed back?
I didn't say that. I'm just saying.
So I'm not at a border. I'm either at a border or I'm not, right?
You are at a border.
Okay, so if I'm at a border, then that means I'm either going into Mexico this way or going out of Mexico. Have I gone into Mexico? Have I?
No, you haven't, sir. But you're within the border zone.
What's the border zone?
25 miles from the border. Anything there? Okay. Supreme Court says we can have this checkpoint within 25 miles.
They did. You're right. But they said that you could ask people questions, but they did not say that people have to answer your questions.
Okay, well, that's why you're still here.
And they did not give you the lawful right to detain people either.
You could have been Van Horn by now.
They didn't give you the lawful right to detain me. They gave you the right to do a checkpoint, but not to detain me without reasonable. How you doing tonight, sir?
Good. How you doing, sir?
Good. I'd like to be on my way, but he's telling me that I'm being detained at this point.
You're being temporarily detained, sir. I have a pamphlet here which explains everything, including INA laws, including.
Do you have a constitution with you?
This is where he could use a trifold.
With you?
No, I don't. Do you?
I don't. Unfortunately,
Well, let me go ahead and give you this pamphlet, sir, just so you can go ahead and take a look at it.
Okay.
It explains everything, the reason we're here, what we do.
Okay.
Okay, it's just a little bit of information for you.
Okay.
Here you go.
Thank you. What's your name, sir?
I'm Agent Turner, sir.
Agent Turner?
Yes, sir.
How long you been doing this?
You don't need to know that.
Okay. Have you always been a criminal? Is that what you aspired to be as a?
That's your opinion of me.
Well, you're detaining me here without suspecting me of a crime.
I'm asking you a question. If
I
you
understand
would have
that.
asked my question, you would have been gone by now if you would have. I mean,
So if I as a man were to stop you driving down a road, me personally, if I were to stop you driving down a road with a gun on my hip and tire spikes and ask you a question, would you feel obligated to answer me?
would you have a uniform on?
Does the uniform make it law, though? Does it make it right for a man to do that to another man? You see, the United States government was created by the people, right? Is that right? It was created by the people. And a man cannot give something that he does not have, right? If I don't have the authority personally to stop you wherever and whenever I feel and ask you questions, then you don't have that authority either. Now, if I suspected you were robbing my house, I personally have the right to stop you. You know what I mean? If you suspected me of a crime, you would have the right to stop me as well. But as far as what I see, you don't suspect me of a crime. You haven't articulated it if you do. And so you don't have a lawful right to stop me or detain me. You're choosing to do it anyways. And that's what government does with, the threats and intimidation. You guys are on top. You've got a monopoly on violence. I won't try to fight you because I won't win. I know that. You know that. It doesn't make what you're doing lawful or right.
It was a question. It's just one question.
I understand that. But it's the principle of if we waive our rights now, how far does it go?
You're not waiving your rights.
If I waive my rights now, how far does it go? We've seen how far it's gone, and
Well, because you haven't answered my question.
and
So I have to detain you to either one, tell me what country you're a citizen of.
well, at this point, I think that your intent is to make sure that I'm a U.S. citizen. Is that correct?
Well, that's what the question is, isn't it?
Okay, but
What country are you a citizen of?
But I'm lawfully and legally not required to answer your questions. But I think at this point, there's absolutely no reason for you to believe that I am not a U.S. citizen, right? I mean, you've got every reason to.
Fooled once.
You got every reason to believe that I am a U.S. citizen, but you have zero reason to believe that I'm not. And so, as a matter of principle, I won't waive my Fourth or Fifth Amendment rights for you.
You haven't
Not-
been arrested.
This is where the common law comes in, or the common lingo versus the etymology here, as far as I understand it. These folks keep thinking that there's some benefit in identifying as a U.S. citizen. It's United States of America. You're on the land that we call America. United States of is the corporation or the entity incorporated on the land. Washington, D.C., we've gone to Cornell University for the definition. We've gone to the U.S. Code. Where's the location of the debtor? Where is the United States of America? It's Washington, D.C. This is a corporate takeover. This is a corporate endeavor. Will you auditors, Republicards, Trumpers, and all the rest, voters, please stop identifying as U.S. citizens, thinking it gives you some benefit and privilege? You're invoking rights and then saying you owe allegiance to a corporate body politic where you vote in order to give your natural rights away for benefits and privileges and governance. Why is it we just can't sew up this fucking presentment and this understanding and conversation? You're a man on America under God. The Constitution says you get your rights from God. Why do you keep identifying as a U.S. citizen? Foregoing your rights under God for benefits and privileges from the corporate body politic. Please, let's get a clue. Some point here, please.
Well, you're detaining me. Is that correct?
Because I'm asking you a question.
If I'm being detained, then I have a Fourth Amendment right and a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and not answer questions. I already had the right to travel freely unmolested. You chose to violate that right. Now you're telling me I'm detained. Well, I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right then and not answer questions, because I'm assuming if you say I'm detained, you suspect me of a crime. If you suspect me of a crime, my attorney has told me don't answer questions. Right? Are we going to, do you think we'll be here for minutes, hours, days, weeks, or months? I'm just trying to get an idea whether we should order pizza or...
I believe you're a U.S. citizen, so we need to stop here, right? Thank you. Go ahead, here you go.
That's it? Am I going to get stopped later up the road?
Just look at the logic of the chat tards who come here. When are you going to grow up and follow what you're told to do like a child? That's not what growing up is. Growing up, contrary to popular belief and practice, is not just doing what you're told. That's being a child. When are you going to grow up, think for yourself, get back under the law of God, and be able to think for yourself, live for yourself, choose for yourself, and be free? That's growing up. Growing up is when you stop having to do what your mommy and daddy tell you because you've grown the fuck up and you're a man and you can do whatever you want as long as you don't cause loss, injury, and harm, and as long as you pay your own debts. You wouldn't even know what growing up is, let alone tell me how to do it. I have grown up and become a man. You haven't grown up yet. You're still a broken child who does what the fuck you're told to do because the only alternative is consequences. Do what you're told to do. The policy and rules are you're going to get consequences. Then they say, grow up, Paulie, and just do what you're told to do. That's what children and bitches do. I'm a man. You need to get it straight. You need to get it through your head. Understand the difference. You never had a father at home. That's the bottom line. You've never known what growing up is because you've never had a real man or a father around you growing up. Most folks haven't. That's why you think growing up and becoming a man is doing what other people tell you to do. You're the biggest punk ass fucking coward fraud out here. And the sad part is you are a representation of the majority of folks out here that I interact with and deal with that think they're so logical because they're corporatized and dogmatic and institutionalized. Just grow up, Paulie boy, and follow the rules like the rest of us. No, not doing it. I will be a living example day in and day out of what you've done and not done and what you will not reconcile while you project it onto me. I love it. I love that it eats you alive because subconsciously you know what I just said was true, that none of you have grown up and come to the age of reason yet, and you've not stood on your own reason, your own conviction. You blow in the wind and do whatever your cosmic parents around you tell you to do. You have no fucking will of God and the truth, and you really have no will of your own either. That's the sad part. You're beyond a fallen being. You're a non-player in this game, right? There are folks who do what's true and what's right and stand on the good, right side of history. There's folks who put their will in and do their will all the way and they play the evil role. Then there's like middle ground, lukewarm fence riders like you who don't do either. You're a non-issue. You're irrelevant. You're a non-player. You're just a number. You don't even exist in this dynamic or in this conversation. It's the reality of it.
Was that necessary?
Oh, it just stops right there. Okay. How about we, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to do another 30 minutes and then I'm going to take the third hour and I'm going to do Brian from High Impact Flicks conversation with Paul Enslaved replay about the traveling freely where we review the video and then me and him have a conversation. It'll be like an emulation of what was planned to go on today that I haven't heard back from Brian yet about. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I think I may do that for the third hour. Since that was a great conversation interaction over the original interaction that is applicable for all of us, right? That applies to all of us. You can't control your emotions either. LOL, that's what children do. No, that's not true at all. You're projecting again. I asked you to come up and talk to me. You're playing games. I obviously control my emotions because I say what I have to say. I get animated. I get passionate. I have a care. I speak, and then I move on. You won't let me out of the interaction, scum like you. It's a game you're playing. The more I focus on you, the more you get what you want. But the more I focus on you, the more you claim I'm not controlling myself. If I throw you out, then you'll say I tried to control you. But you can't control yourself. Come up here and have the interaction of any kind of relevancy. Just a big time waster, energy suck. That's what a lot of you folks are. Unfortunately, you'll never be successful in your life, and no one of any successful beingness will ever have you in their life. That's what a lot of you guys need to get through your head. You'll become better people. U.S. border closed for filming and open carry. Maybe, maybe not. I could finish the Carl Lentz from yesterday. I enjoy Carl Lentz. I always think he brings value. We got breaking slave news. Brian O'Shea, what do you have? Is Brian O'Shea? Brian O'Shea's gone. You got anything broken system? Did anything roll through your head or heart yet? Anything interesting come up inside of you?
Well, I mean, I thought that the James Freeman video is pretty cool.
Right.
But I did see a flaw in the logic, or I saw a way around everything. The video kind of gets unnecessary, and I'll tell you where and why I think it does. When you start invoking a right, like a Fourth, Fifth Amendment right, the whole thing is you don't want to say whether or not you're a U.S. citizen, you want to plead the Fifth. Well, if you're invoking a right, that means you're claiming that you're a citizen. The guy can say, oh, well, if you have a Fifth Amendment right, you must be claiming you're a citizen. You can be on your way. See you later. So that whole interaction is really unnecessary if you think about it.
Well, again, there's one contention point here, and I've said it over and over again, and I'm probably going to have to continue to till it just clicks with whoever's in the sound of my voice. Republic, if you can keep it, that's not a democracy, and we're in quote-unquote democracy now. And my intro showed all of the news stations repeating line for line a script saying, these things are a danger to our democracy. Well, of course, true Republican, conservative, Americana activity is a danger to democracy. It's an antithesis of democracy. It's called personal accountability, responsibility, and empowerment under God, where the individual has rights to do whatever they please to pursue their happiness as long as they don't cause loss, injury, and harm. They cannot be governed outside of their own consent. The problem is most folks have consented and don't want to accept it. They keep voting. They keep paying the tax. They keep identifying as an agent on their tax returns, whether they know it or not. They're substantiating on paper and with the courts that they are part of the corporate structure and that they're in contract, thereby obligated for those statutes, policies, and codes. And then when you try to give this information to people, some parasite vampire twisted Mr. Smith matrix creature scum comes in from the side and goes, "Don't listen to Paulie boy. That's just sob-sit mumbo jumbo. Just continue on business as usual." And then you have to actually go into faith and trust and look at what's been going on, especially the past 4 years, and decide, yeah, even if it's quote unquote sob sit mumbo jumbo, it resonates with my soul. I know that it sounds more true and correct and makes more sense than anything else I've ever seen and heard. And now I'm going to, with that understanding, do something different. You got to have a change of heart happen based on the facts and the etymology and the words and terms and the experience. There is nothing else that makes as much sense to me, nor is there able to be communicated in order to, quote unquote, escape or transmute this dynamic. Voting, paying the tax, getting all the paperwork, submitting, cooperating, complying, and calling policy law is not going to get it done. It's what got us into this and out of a republic. So time to wake up, time to cut it out with the propaganda games, cut it out with the mischaracterizations, the libel and the slander, the projection. The sovereign citizens are the ones in uniform who have an allegiance to the corporate body to enforce code and think that they have more rights and abilities than the men and women they serve. They're the sovereign citizens who think they have sovereignty while claiming to be citizens and servants, civil servants. It's bizarre. Oh, we have qualified immunity. Your daddy Trump now says he's going to give the cops more power. He's going to give them total qualified immunity. Right. That's what we need from a Republican. We need more statute, policy, and fascist codes enforced on the men and women of this land to a detriment of their fucking rights in pursuit of happiness. That's what your modern day Republican consists of and its constituency. Blue liners who on the other side of their bumper say, "Don't tread on me." You are the treaders. You are the ones who are going to come and take it. You are the ones who have single-handedly destroyed the republic in favor of collectivization, fascistic corporate state powers merging with corporations, right? The merger of state and corporate powers is the definition of fascism by Mussolini, the one who apparently pioneered it. Of course, working with the central banks and other folks behind the scenes, as always, because it's never what it seems. Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear, right? Isn't that right? Isn't that the cliche? Greetings, Jennifer. How are you? Yeah, we're going to have to get the words and terms and the sentiment in alignment, right? Stop appealing to false authority and false emotions and false conceptualizations and false meanings. We're going to have to get in line with what these words and this experience has always been and will always be. That is what is real truth, what does not change. These words and terms have literally mean the same things almost seemingly from the beginning of time. You're living the Bible scripture. That's the bottom line here, right? You got centralized bankers trading in the souls of men and women, using spelling and sorcery on paper and dark magic, double speak words and terms like the snake in the garden speaking with a forked tongue, telling you, just go ahead and eat of this false knowledge and you will become just like the creator God. No, you cannot become God-like by rebuking the God of creation and its law it's laid down in conscience. No, you can't. You can become fallen, egotistical and prideful, and you can follow the ways of man and claim yourself to be God, like many of these administrators on the benches and many of these prosecutors, but it doesn't hold water, especially when you guys get to talking and shutting up real quick when you get a godly man in there who can speak the word of God in truth with passion and care and be unwavering and faithful. You guys just twist in circles. That's proof of the dynamic right there. Can't bring darkness and falsity into a room with light and affect it. You can bring light into a room with darkness and falsity and light that motherfucker up. And that's exactly what goes on at court. You should see it. I've been there half a dozen times at least. Soon as I cut them off and start talking and putting light on the facts of the matter and what we're all there supposed to be doing, oh man, they start looking for a way out. I ain't in the room with you. You're in the room with me. And me is connected to I am that am. And that's where the judgment comes in truth. This is a fun game, huh? See, precisely once you reconcile that you do not have complete control is where you get your control back over yourself and your life and what you're going to do and be and not. And that's when God helps you. God helps those who help themselves. Please also understand that when God favors you, the devil will favor you and you'll be tested and challenged. That's the whole point of this incarnation. That's the whole point of martyrdom, if you want to call it that. You may have to go to prison or be killed for what's true and what's right in order to be given safe passage here or hereafter. You want to neglect what's true and what's right to get another few days to live like these people? You just fucking sold your soul broken. And don't be surprised if you live the rest of your life here suffering till you die in bondage, vice, and addiction. I would know. I've seen the peak of the valley and the top of the mountain, as they say. Go ahead, Mr. PPP, BSBT. If not, we're going to move forward. We're coming up on that second hour where I'm going to do high impact flicks conversation with Paul Enslaved. Till Brian gets back to me, of course.
Yeah, what's up with Pineal Power? Fantastic.
Great stuff. I'm going to continue the Carl Lentz video that we were listening to yesterday because the man is a genius in his own right. A lot of the information, the understanding you're going to see is going to correlate between us because, again, common law, common lore, there's only one self on the highest level, one truth, one life, one way. I'm pretty sure your Jesus character said that. So if you don't like that understanding or that perception that I tend to live, well, then go argue with him about it. Don't argue with me. I know it's very egotistical and narcissistic sounding. At least that's what they tell me online.
You know, if there's no man to testify, to come over there and say that, you know, oh, we did him harm, and it's just a complaint, you order the thing to be discharged with prejudice, okay? Because there is no man. There is no claim. It's just a bunch of lawyer bullshit. Now, I apologize for cussing. The point is that they will sometimes try to just railroad the things through, even though they know and you know that they've got nothing to go on. All right? And at that point in time, you need to say, if you know, Bob Smith, judge over there, or lawyer over here, try to take this any further, you are going to be personally liable, acting outside the capacity of your office, and I'm going to sue you and hold you directly liable, and it's going to cost you this much, period. All right? That's when you nail it right there. And then if they go, blah, 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 you're threatening the judge, whatever, you know, it's like, who cares? All right? And if they try to go proceeding with the thing anyway, you just say, I order this thing discharged and dismissed. Discharged or dismissed, you know, with prejudice. If you can't, and that's all you can do. And if they go ahead and they make a judgment against you, in spite of the fact that you just protested that and said that there was no case to go against you, you can then use that judgment as the evidence for a wrongdoing against you, and you can sue them in common law for that, in addition to the original thing that they brought that had no claim. Okay?
Gotcha.
Well, that's what we do, Carl, when they just move ahead. And I just gave them terms and conditions for me to appear to fulfill their order to appear. And today they got my bill. And we'll see where it goes.
Did you send me your bill?
Not yet. Well, I did one. I didn't hear from you. And I had 2 or 3 other people review it. So it was in pretty good shape.
All right. Yeah. If you want to just send it to me and I'll tell you what they might or might not do.
Okay, I'll be more than happy to. I identified the terms that off of the stipulation off of the terms and conditions to appear. I appeared when they asked me to appear. Now they have to compensate me. My compensation was $1 per second from the inception of the situation, which went back to January 22nd. Well, it added up to a nice little tidy sum. And then I put another stipulation in that if they didn't answer the terms and conditions, that the ancient maxim of times 4 would kick in. I got to quadruple the amount, and I noted it all in the front. So we'll see.
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
You're doing it a little bit, well, a lot different than I would have done it. But what I'm saying is, they charge you with violations, misdemeanors, or felonies. What did they charge you with?
Misdemeanors.
Okay, misdemeanors they charged you with. Have those charges been settled, dismissed, discharged? You accept the equity? And
Nope. Not yet.
Okay, folks. Like I said, I'll just do a simple one for you guys, real quick here. The first thing you do before you demand compensation for the wrong, first you get rid of the wrong. You prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt that what these people did to you was wrong. You get that settled and you get it done. Then what you do is you go after the compensation.
Yeah. Okay, I did that in declarations, and I did that in the terms and conditions.
Honestly,
and a verified declaration.
Honestly, I really don't know what a declaration is, and I don't know what verification of claims is. I don't really know what any of these words are that you just used. But if you believe in these words, if you believe they have merits, can I write a book about those things you just said? Oh, absolutely. But do I know what they mean? No, absolutely not. Because to me,
you have to know what they mean? No.
It's just way too complicated. It's just way too much. I'm just making a claim. Now, did I cause this? The man who claims that I did wrong, is he going to appear? Yes or no? No. Okay. Well, then all these charges that you got against me, well, now I'm going to take these charges that you burdened me with. You placed those burden of those charges. You put the charges on me, right? You charged me with them, right? You placed the burden on me. Good. Now I'm going to accept all equity. All the value that you wanted, what these charges are worth, now I'm going to establish what the burden was. I declare that this burden of putting this charge on you is worth $500 a day. Now I'm going to charge you. You filed a false claim. You burdened me with a false charge. You placed a charge on me, like electrical charge, and I've been carrying around this thing for weeks now, months. Yeah, I accepted the charge. But now you have to prove your charge. I was a good guy to accept that charge. Now you filed a false charge on me. I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to discharge it all over you. So like I said, you just go about it a different way. First, if somebody wants to place a charge on me, I was like, oh, lovely. You're going to hand me an order? Oh, good, lovely. That's how I make money. Oh, good, you're going to charge me? Oh, good. That's
what I did.
Charge it my debit card. Charge it my credit card. Charge it my debit card. I don't care. Charge it my gift card. Go ahead, charge it up. Get charged up. And if you can't prove it, you're going to pay the bill. I'm going to hand the bill to you. You're the one charging up this card. You charge up my credit card. You charge this at all. You want to charge up? Go ahead. Now what do you think I did? Oh, wonderful. You got to prove it. You got to prove that this charge is going to be true. Because when I find out, when I can prove that you bear a false witness and you file false, and all of these charges are false charges, I'm going to place the burden on you, and I'm going to win in 2 seconds. So, like I said, I just make simple claims. If you want to make a claim, and like I said, where's the claim? Is there a proper claim to file before this court? Yes. Is that what you claim is a claim? Is you trying to place that claim upon me? Oh, lovely. I'll accept that claim. I'm going to show that the claim is false. And then when I prove that my claim is false, I'm going to charge you.
My whole issue was that they wanted me to come back in their room and appear again. And I asked them if it was their wish that they wanted me to take their order to come back and appear. And they said yes.
There you go.
And I said, oh, thank you very much. You have in your hand already my terms and conditions to appear.
Well,
and I left.
You could do that, but if they fail to ask, it's like I said, going to a fancy French restaurant and they don't have no prices on it, and you just
I asked Carl.
Just saying. I'm just saying to people who are listening to this call, if you go to a fancy French restaurant and there's no prices on the menu, there's no fee schedule, and you just go in there ordering somebody about and telling them, give me French Champion, give me a bottle of Dom Perignon, give me this, and they come back with a bill for you for $20,000-$30,000. You're obligated to pay it.
Right.
So just because the judge orders you about, you say to the judge, is that your wish, Bob? Not judge. Is that your wish, Bob? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Bob, he's liable now to pay it. Did you have to present a fee schedule? Of course not. Did he ask? No. So guess what, Bob? You ordered me to do this. Guess what, Bob? Lovely. Wait till you see the freak. You don't say to him. You're saying in your mouth. But I'm sure for a woman, it's hard for you to put it in paper and writing. It's hard to keep quiet. You say, oh, lovely, lovely. Wait till he sees my bill. He's going to swallow a pickle.
I know. I didn't really say a whole lot other than You wish to take my terms and conditions. I mean, you wish me to come back, and they said yes. I said, oh, well, thank you very much. You already have in your hand my terms and conditions to come back.
Right. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I would not do. If you're playing poker, you keep your cards close to you, and you don't keep saying, look, well, you want me to come back? Look, I already got an ace, a king, a queen, and a jack. You know, maybe I have that 10. You know, you might get them a little nervous. I want them to think I'm a complete moron. I don't want to give them any fair warning that what's going to come from me. They're going to say, holy bananas, how the hell did this just happen? Who's the moron that let this guy through? So they get to lay your case for who knows how long. They could just like look at poor Tom Murphy. How long has he been dealing with this stuff now? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many trials he's been to? They're just waiting for him to make one little mistake so they could violate his probation. Everything that he did gets thrown out. He goes back to square one and spends his entire time in jail, and no more probation, no more parole, no fucking nobody. He did not accept bail, whatever. They just keep going on and on forever. So to me, I'd rather say, is that your wish? Is that what you want to do? Good. You just keep doing what you're going to do, and just let them do what they're going to do. And then once you catch, you say, you know, like I said, then you spring it on them. When you prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they had a false claim the whole time, there was nobody harmed here. There was nobody harmed by what I did. I already told you folks this was common law by just saying, what, Bob, do you claim this? You know, Judge, what's the judge's name? Joe, do you claim this? You claim I broke the law? Prosecutor, Bob, you claim I did it? Oh, the officer's name is Sam. Sam, you claim I did this? Good. I got them all in common law because only man can make a claim. I said, you broke the law. I broke the law. Good. Now, Judge, you know the rules. You know law. Only man can make a claim. Where's the claim that's probably been submitted before this court? Did Sam, Bob, or Joe make a claim? No. Is there a claim before this court? No. And I'm going to get every single one liable. Every single one of you now are liable. You just committed perjury.
What I did was put most of that in my paper, Carl.
Right.
Rather than explaining it, I just put it all on the paper. I said, you default. This is what it will be. Well, they defaulted.
But all I'm trying to say is, instead of telling the man that you're going to charge him for every minute, every second, every day, let him just keep running it up. Why? He's not asking you. He knows the rules. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. If he orders another man to do something, he's bound to pay the bill. So, you know, you can't say, I order you to mow my lawn. Okay. You never bothered to tell me how much I was going to charge. You just told me to do it. What makes you think I can't demand compensation now after I did it? What do you think I was going to do it for free? What do you think you had jurisdiction over me? What do you think I could over me? Is that what you presumed? Is that what you, well, not only you presumed, now you assumed it because now you're going to be liable for damages. So like I said, but if you don't establish the fact that you're a man or you're a woman and that you have rights and that you could not be ordered about by some sort of fictional code or some code that's not applicable to you, and they decide to do it anyway, then you could hand them a bill. But if you don't establish the fact that you're a man or a woman and that I was not operating a motorized vehicle under Washington State Code 1234. You know, I was just a man just traveling from point A to point B, and I didn't hurt nobody when I was doing what I was doing. So unless somebody's going to claim wrong, you got to back off with your frivolous claim, or I'm going to, or you can say you better back off from moving with this frivolous claim against me. You don't have to say, "Oh, I'm going to demand compensation." You just say, "I demand that you back off from this frivolous claim." You don't have to say, "or else." Just say, "Demand it." If they don't, you really don't want them to back off because you want compensation. You say, "Well, I gave you fair warning. I told you back off. You know the rules. You don't back off. You don't cease and desist." Guess what? Here comes the demand for compensation now. How long have you been doing this to me? 3 years, 5 years, 11 years? God bless you. Because now when I get this before the jury is just going to eat you for lunch. Because I told you 10 years ago to stop, and you didn't stop. And when the jury says, "Well, why didn't you stop the first time she told you to stop?" Well, you know, we just thought, well, I guess you thought wrong. And now you got to pay for all this time for messing with it. See, I just don't like to let too much out of the cat out of the bag. I just give them one sentence at a time. And I let them, hopefully, they just totally ignore me. Say, this guy's writing gibberish. This doesn't even, this is like not even a complete sentence. This makes no sense. Okay, fine. That's fine. I don't care what you say. I'm gonna move this before a trial by jury. And I'm going to bring you in, Bob, Sam, and Joe, not prosecutor, and not officer, not judge. You guys all know the rules. You all know the law. You knew what common law is. You're supposed to know it's the premier, the number one law of this land. You all know how this country operates. It says there right in the U.S. court website, all state courts are common law courts. You all know every place we're standing in this country, if I'm in some court of state, that every courts within that state are common law courts. And you could subdivide them from there. It's just like what I say to people, property. Everything I claim is proper to my person is my property, which means my rights, my children, my car, my spoon, my clothes, my dreams, my hopes. They're all subdivisions of or subsets of my rights. It's the same thing when you say all state courts are common law courts. They all start at the top of the pyramid as common law. Then they could break down to admiralty, maritime, any other kind of law you guys want to use. That's fine. They could they could flip their hats on and change courts, change the law at a flip of a hat if they want to. And even though you try to move under common law, you folks try to sneak in some statutes every now and then and get you guys in trouble. So then it just took you down from the top of the pyramid down to a statute, or you used a precedent and it took you down to, or it took an act of Congress 1802, and it dropped you down into that act. It took you from the top of the pyramid and you're slowly knocking yourselves down further and further and further. Or UCC and stuff. That's really dropping you down near the bottom. So like I said to you folks, man, is just make one simple, plain statement lines, but it's so hard for you guys to control yourselves because it seems like the more you write, you believe people are going to be impressed because, especially you, Maria Janet, you were a school teacher. If I wrote a paper, my paper would have been one sentence long. You would have given me a big fat F with a big old sad face on it. Some kid would have walked in with 10 pages, 500 words or more, like you told him to do, and he would have done it. And you would have given a big A+ and a happy face. But my paper said E equals MC squared. My name was Albert Einstein. But you know what? His teacher gave him an F- because he did it in, 5 or 6 letters or less. But she said she demanded 1,000 words or more to get the big happy goals. That's what they trained you people to believe, that more is impressive, that less is a joke.
Yeah. No, in my school, you had to work the apparatus. You had to show me you could do it.
Right, but E equals MC squared, I guarantee Albert Einstein's math teacher rolled up the ball and popped it off his head and gave him an F.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Yeah, and said you get 10,000 pages or more, or we're going to flunk you out of school. Doesn't cut it for us.
I was such a different teacher.
Right.
I didn't do any.
What I'm saying, when you go to court, you write E equals MC squared and stop. And don't explain what E equals MC squared. It's none of their damn business. It's only between you and the jury and the other side. The guys in the black robe and the prosecuting attorney say it has nothing to do with them. It only has to do with the person that you're moving in court or they're moving you. They know what E equals MC squared is, because if they didn't know what E equals MC squared means, they wouldn't have been communicating with you. So, like I said, incredibly simple. One sentence. The other side know what they did wrong. It's like, Bob, pay me back $500 because you did me wrong. Now, if Bob's the prosecuting attorney or the sheriff or the guy in court or the judge, say, Bob, pay me $500. He knows what he did wrong. He moved in a capacity in which he wasn't permitted to do as a judge or as a cop or as a state prosecutor. If you want to say, well, Bob, pay me $500 because you did this, you want to write a freaking book about it, you're wasting your time. Bob knows what he did wrong to you. He knows exactly what he did wrong to you. Now, could Bob make a statement of facts or like a billing statement? Why you believe you should be paid $500 from Bob? A little bit of a story. A little bit. You don't have to. You can say, no, Bob, you know and I know what you did. You know what? I'll see you in front of the jury.
Yeah.
And there you go.
I think that's why they set my hearing outside of the speedy trial, so they could get rid of it.
They set it up as a speedy trial?
They set the next hearing outside of the speedy trial rules.
They could do that. What I would do if I was them, I would just I'd let the statute of limitations run out on the charges against you and just let it drop.
Well, I think that's what they're doing.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to let the 2 years of limit, like Canada, it's 6 months, and the United States it's usually 2 years for them to prosecute a wrong. And they're just going to say the judge couldn't make it. The judge had a death in the family, whatever. Because until you make your own case, all this stuff that you're filing in their case is going to be totally ignored.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be totally ignored. They don't see it. You're just packing it in the sausage. It's just getting lost in the ingredients. They don't see it. You're just stinking up their case. And like, man, this lady's really stinking up case of sausage. She's making it stink. You know what? Just let it
They
ride.
still can't make a claim or answer my claim.
But you haven't filed your own case yet. You haven't filed a lawsuit against them yet. You haven't filed a case
Oh,
against them.
no, I need to do that.
Right. So everything that you're doing right now is good practice, which is fine. It's keeping your mind busy, learning a lot. That's fine. You're making a lot of mistakes. Good. Making mistakes in their case. That's fine. Because, it's not going to go anywhere. So, but at least you're learning. And you'll get better as time goes on.
Well, this will be the fourth time I will beat this charge that they tried to put on me.
Yeah, big deal. The charges ain't nothing. The charges, it's you want to get compensation.
Mm-hmm.
I want compensation.
You're right. That's right.
Right. So what I would do immediately, as soon as I know somebody charges me with something, I'm going to accept the charges and say, oh, lovely, this is how I get it. This is how I get paid, and now you're going to burden me with this. Oh, good. So now I'm going to show that your charges are false charges. So now I'm going to claim compensation due to your false charges. See, Mr. Gordon Hall used to do it a little bit different. Mr. Gordon Hall would tell you to accept the charges and plead guilty and settle it by discharging the debt or setting it off or giving a $2 million side draft. Not me. Oh, you want me to accept those charges? Oh, yeah, I'll accept those charges, all right, but you better be dead on, because when I can prove that those are false charges, I'm going to say, well, you burdened me with those charges. That wasn't easy and that wasn't a light burden to carry. Guess what? I'm going to demand compensation for you placing a false charge on me. You burdened me with something that was false. I knew from day one it was false, but you know what? I'm not going to make any money by not accepting the charges. So you know what? I'll accept that order, Judge. Is that what you wanted me to do? Good, lovely. And then I'm going to show that he placed a burden on me that I should not have been placed, that burden. He placed the order. He made the order for 10,000 Happy Meals. He's going to pay it. He made the order. He's going to pay for it. And there you go. Like I said to you guys, I looked at the federal court site, and all these judges and all the people within the court system, they all are insured, and they're all recommended to carry their own private insurance when they interfere with constitutional, statutory, or civil rights of the people that come before them. Because they will be sued one day in their personal capacity, and they will have to pay out of their own pockets. They got it right off the federal court website. How they should go about if they don't believe they're carrying the United States covers them under their insurance company, that they should go out if they have millionaire judges or billionaire judges, that they should go out and obtain their own private insurance in case that they don't believe they're going to be compensated or covered, indemnified under the government's policy. So it's simple. They all know what they're doing. They're not stupid people. They all know what's going on.
All right, Josh, you got anything before we go over to the Brian High Impact Flakes, Paul and Slave conversation restream?
No, I can't really think of too much. I was kind of looking forward to a Sunday and, doing kind of some fun stuff, But, I don't know, maybe I'll fish out a couple videos and, try it again next Sunday or something.
You sound really dejected and disappointed. What's going on, bud? You want to go for ice cream, huh?
No, it's.
You want some ice cream? You want mint chocolate? I know you like mint chocolate chip. We'll do some fun stuff. The playground.
No,
you want to go to the playground?
I mean, if we could go to the playground and put me on the merry-go-round, that would be great.
I know you like. I know how you like that. We could do that after the broadcast, man. Only another hour. You just got to hang tight. Be patient. Big boys have to be patient.
Big boys have to be patient. Well, I just trust the timing of the universe. The universe gives me signs and gives me signals, and I just have to sort those signals out in a very complex and complicated world, which isn't so easy.
You gotta sort out your signals. Get your signals sorted out, please.
Yeah. So it takes a little bit of time to sort those thoughts out, but it's a work in progress. It is a work in progress. Hopefully I don't get shackled and slaved up and all that stuff, but yeah.
Right. All right, everybody. Yeah, broken system, broken trust. Paul and Slave, the whole thing. Hanging out. We're doing it. We'll do some fun stuff at some point. Not now, I guess. Anything else? We're gonna go to the Brian High Impact restream of myself.
I mean, I could go fetch a video when Brian covered one of
Are
my
you still
videos.
doing the thing of what you could do? Like we're now 2 hours in, and you did this the first 10 minutes. Like what you could do. You're still asking me things of what you could do, but I'm not interested in managing you while I manage me and this broadcast.
Yeah, you asked me what I felt like doing or sharing, and I'm not so much as good of a communicator in that way, other than like,
I know.
let me bring a video, and then we can watch the video, and then I can watch you comment on the video.
There's no video. There's no. You still haven't put a video in the back yet. It's not there. You haven't put it back there.
Okay,
because you want some guarantee that if you're playing some passive aggressive power game where I have to guarantee I'm going to play it for you to put it back there. I can guarantee I won't play it if you don't put it back there.
Well, yeah, that's what it seems like. I get it. That's what
I know.
It seems like.
It's like seems like instead of folks just doing what I ask, they always have to interpret and do nothing. They do nothing or less than nothing. Fuck whatever is going on up, and then don't do what I ask, and then tell me what they could do. Like if I hired you to do a job at my house, is this what you would do? If I hired you to work with me to do jobs at houses, would you do this? I could go get a wrench for you, Paulie boy. You could, like an hour into working. I could bring the hammer over. You could. We were now 2 hours into working. I mean, maybe we'll have some fun. He goes over my shoulder at some point. I go, I don't know what you want from me, dude. Bring the hammer, bring the fucking nails, bring something, do something, create some. Well, then he's like, well, I would build you something or build with you something, but I need like a commitment from you that you're going to love me and that you're going to do everything that I want or what I need. And I go, I don't know if I can do that. We're here doing this thing. We're putting together this IKEA furniture for this customer. And instead of you bringing the nails, bringing the hammer, bringing the screwdriver, putting together something next to me, you got this thing going on with me rather than the audience and the broadcast. Do you get the analogy that I've given you now almost 3 hours in that we already did like for the first hour?
Well, not quite, because like the IKEA analogy I didn't exactly get, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, O'Shea was sharing his experience, and I thought that was pretty cool. How empowered he feels, standing up and kind of saying no or putting his foot down. That's pretty cool. Hopefully he's, willing to accept, whatever consequences might come his way. You know what I mean? Like losing his family, losing his friends, losing, basically a lot of stuff in his life.
He doesn't have any family and friends, so there's not much to lose there. I would suspect you have the same lifestyle.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Which is kind of
we're bonding here now.
Yeah, so it's like this is the room for like dejected, rejected folks that just kind of had enough. Yeah,
right. They got mommy and daddy issues. They got issues like controlling themselves and their life path. They got like financial issues, drug and alcohol issues. Don't get me started.
There's all
and
kinds
that's just
of
you, right? And all those things I just mentioned, that's just you. Don't let me get to snafu snaps and the other folks.
Well, yeah, I mean, all those things are all of us, you know what I mean? To some degree, it's snafu is probably far
and then it's
worse,
about what you do with it. Hence why I go, what do you got? Where are we going with this? Because I don't actually technically come here to be everyone's daddy and therapist and guru. I come here to do a good broadcast, and I'm open to doing it with other people, but it never happens that way. I wind up defaulting to being stepdaddy online.
Well, let me ask you bizarre. If Brian, comes up or comes on panel, what were you planning on talking about?
I don't know, because I don't plan on talking. I speak from the heart freely, and I roll with the punches, and I go with the flow, or I create the flow. That's called doing a broadcast. That's called being an interesting person. Folks might want to work on that.
Yeah, especially
I don't plan anything. I don't plan anything because I don't need to. I am all that I need and connected to the Most High. I will be led, guided, protected, revealed to. I will be animated by and for.
That's not true, though. That's not true. You do plan, because at the end of it, you sign off the broadcast by saying, we'll be back tomorrow, 7 days a week. So you do plan.
Okay, it's a limited direction and structure. I need some limited direction and structure. You know, like
Right.
I will put a bunch of clips and news articles and stuff at the top, but I have no idea what I'm going to do. And here's the best part about knowing yourself. I don't need to, because I pretty much do the same broadcast over and over in various different ways. Have you noticed most content creators do that? They're not aware they're doing that, but that's what happens. Like, I don't know if you're aware, Brian from High Impact Flicks is going to put out a video over the next couple days about cops. Okay. And he's probably going to say a lot of the same things he said before about cops. So we're all doing our own loop here. I just bring folks with their loop into my loop. Turns out my loop is about broadcasting and creating a conversation or experience. Other people's loop is about loving or hating me or needing something from or with me. It's odd.
Yeah, I also find that very bizarre. I mean, I guess, I kind of wander back here because it's a cool place.
Snafu, will you please help out here? We're drowning in nothingness.
Like,
I'm just kind of listening,
Just think, like, when do they stop talking? Like, just stop talking, stop needing, stop desiring. Just be a good person and do a good broadcast. That's all you need to figure out. That's enough. You have a hard enough time figuring that out than to go into me and this and that and what you feel and what you want. Give me a break. Everyone's got enough on their plate just being a good person and being good at what they do. You don't have to worry about Paulie Boy and how he feels about you and where it's going to go or not. Learn to live without complete closure. You'll be way better off in life because most of life doesn't come with closure. People leave. People change. People move on. People don't get what they want. Oftentimes not closure. You have to move forward. You have to create something and be something worthy of looking at. That's what the word respect means. Take a second look at. So let's just focus on that, guys. Guys, we come here every day. I give the same fucking rap in so many different ways. It's not about you loving me and me loving you or you hating me or what you want and don't want. Just come here and show that you're either a good person or becoming a good person and you want to contribute to do a good broadcast. Be so much better off. You'll even start to become more creative. You'll start to realize what's good content and what's not. What's interesting and exciting for the audience and what's not. What do you like that most people think is retarded? Like maybe one day you bring anime on here and I go, what is this crap? Well, I'm really into it. Okay. Most people think it's garbage. See how that works? You get really good at like being whoever you are and doing what you do and then figuring out where and when and why and how to do it. It's the greatest practice ever. Instead of trying to figure out who you're going to love and not, if you're going to get what you want or not, how to fucking manipulate and play games to get it, beat around the fucking bush, ignore your own fucking attention span and your growth and development. Yeah, not working. Anyone? Let's just go to it. Can we just go to it? Can we all just stop talking right now? We all just stop with the I want this, don't want that. Maybe one day we're going to have fun. What's Paulie Boy going to do and say? Why isn't he doing and saying this? Snafu?
Snafu put a video back there. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't care if he plays it or not. I know how he works.
If you don't care, why would you put it
video from
explained it
Snafu?
to you. He explained it to you. He said, if I use it, I use it. If I don't, I don't. Fucking da-da-da-da. That's why I do. I get on page.
Snafu, I just checked it. I already have one of those videos up and I'm a third of the way through it. We're probably going to continue it tomorrow. See how that worked? Snafu put something in the back. Turns out I was already viewing it. I'm a third of the way through, but I've already compartmentalized in my mind based on time and everything else and the rest of my day and everything else all at once. I made the calculation. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Like I got 40 windows open at the top of my screen you can't see right now. A lot of it I'm not going to get to. Maybe today, tomorrow, the next day. It's up there for me to go to. A lot of the shit I pull, I don't use. Gives me something to go to.
I'm going to...
See? That's the quarterback position. I got to call the audible at the line. I got to run this play, not that one. Okay, I ran this one. I don't like how it feels. Let's run that one. That's the position I occupy here. A lot of it's intuitive. I just go with what I want or what I feel. It seems to work. And then there's everyone else's desires. I don't know how to incorporate that. I don't know how to I don't see even the benefit of doing that. You notice numbers are dropping right now. Everything was fine when I was just doing whatever I wanted to do. Numbers were high. Everything was great. Then I had to become daddy again and explain to grown men around me why I'm doing what I'm doing and not doing other things because they're disappointed, and numbers are dropping even more because they're tired of hearing this. They're tired of watching this. I don't fucking blame them. I don't blame this audience. Why do I even allow this is the question. Why do I continue this?
I don't blame them either.
I blame some of them.
It's depressing. The audience gets depressed and demotivated. A lot like you folks start your day off. You guys start your day off depressed and unmotivated. Then you turn the audience into that. Like, oh man, here goes the speech. He's going to do the speech. Oh, we got to go. They go, honey, get ready. We're going to dinner. Because Paulie's about to give the speech for the 1,000th time about how pathetic and embarrassing these folks are. It's going to get depressing around here, morbid. This should be done in private, maybe. I don't know. Even if it was done in private, you guys don't fucking listen and get it. You're too busy doing your own program that hasn't worked for you yet anywhere in life. It's amazing. Then they'll say, Paulie's egotistical and narcissistic and he thinks he knows how other people should live. No, I know how I should live, and I'm asking other folks to stop trying to alter it. Please, with clips, with anything. Just be you, do what you do, share with me, contribute. If it doesn't go your way, keep it fucking moving because we're grown men out here. That's it. Pretty simple. All right. I think that we got an understanding there. The silence is deafening, and that's usually when I feel like Daddy has gotten too loud, but he said enough, and we get it. We get it again for the 1,000th time. We get it. So we're going to move on. Paul Unslaved, Brian from High Impact Flicks, conversation. Okay? Because Brian from High Impact isn't here today. He hasn't got back to me yet. Maybe something's happening. I don't know. Not going to presume and assume. Snafu, I know you will presume and assume for me, and I'm not asking you to do that right now. So I'm just going to leave it up in the air. We'll hear from Brian at some point, I'm sure, and we'll go from there. But for now, we have the conversation between us. And Snafu Snaps, please, okay? I want you to know this. Please feel free to holler out at any time during the broadcast. If you want to comment, anyone who's on panel, feel free to holler out. I will pause it if I hear you, presuming I'm right here and not like moving around a little bit, going to the bathroom, getting something to eat. It's approaching dinner time. Okay. And it's important that I eat early. Snafu, please. It's important that I eat early before 6 to 8 o'clock. Okay. As we all know, is proper nutrition. I'm known for nowadays pushing my whole schedule back and working my whole life around this broadcast to the point where oftentimes I eat my first meal late in the day, and then I wind up eating after 6 to 8 o'clock at night, sometimes 9, even 10 o'clock at night. I don't enjoy that. I don't like that. I mean, I enjoy it. I don't like it. It's not good for me. Okay. And because I'm not a big, obese ass baby anymore in my life as much as possible, I have to start doing what's good and true and right for me. Or else I'll be in a bed with my immune system kicking off, presumably with AIDS, in a fit of hate and rage, right? Just like you. That's where I'll wind up. And I'm too young and too powerful and inspiring and talented to be 35 years old in the bed in a fit of rage, hate, and AIDS. Okay?
Well, so everything was right except the AIDS part. You had everything right except the AIDS part.
Right.
But, yeah.
No idea what you're saying. Okay, let's get to it. Navigating the Matrix. That's the name.
All right, we're live. Thank you for joining the Here's the Deal channel. This is a much anticipated and requested
Hold on,
video.
fuck this guy, the Pogo Keto motherfucker. You said I could scream when I want. You said I could scream, Daddy.
No, we're not. That's too quick. I'm not doing this. I'm not babysitting you guys for the rest. I'm going to throw you out. I'm going to send you back to the dialysis machine.
You just told me I could scream.
I'm going to send you back to the heart monitor, the beeping, the lonely beeping that's incessant, and I'm going to send you back to the dialysis machine.
All right, I
hear the new dialysis machines come with AI, chatbot, so you can have a friend in the room with you.
They do.
Hold on. Victus is here now. He's hanging on the lawn. He's getting some sun. That's good to see. I'm going to mute him. Nothing personal, but we're gonna go to this. I'm going to take a little bit of a back seat. We've got a conversation here between this Paul and Slave guy and Brian from High Impact.
So we could have another lively discussion, and that is exactly what's happening today. Live. Thank you for joining the Here's the Deal channel. This is a much video. Oh, wait a second. I got reverb. Hold on one second, guys. Requested video. I've got a couple things playing in the background here. Paul on Slave, so we could have another lively discussion. All right, let me know if you guys can hear me. I will be playing some system audio, but for the most part, we're going to be talking to Paul on Slave directly over there on Mountain Time. And here he is. This is Paul Unslaved. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing well, Brian. I'm going to go ahead and salute you right off the bat.
All right, man. Now let me know, guys, in the chat room that you can hear this, because I have been known to flap my gums for quite a little while, and nobody can hear anything. Okay, so Arnie says it's loud and clear. Steven says, "Yep, you're good." Tyrannical Thought Please says 5 by 5. Okay, good deal. Hey, let's go ahead and I want to get started by way of introduction, because I was reading in the comment section before we went live that people are like, well, who's Paul? Why should we listen to what Paul says? Paul is the guy that I highlighted back. Let's see, I don't even know what the date of this video was. May 28th, 2021 was when I initially heard about Paul, and I saw him do this. He got pulled over by the cops. Paul, what state was it?
Well,
was it Colorado?
I was in a state of anticipation, but we were on the land known as Colorado.
Okay, in Colorado. So here's part of this. I'm just going to play a little section of this interaction. Paul is. Let me play it because it's pretty self-explanatory. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and play it right there.
Video, please.
What's that?
Let me just start my video, please.
Your video?
Yeah, I'm just going to record this interaction.
Okay. I need your license for that.
What makes you believe that I need that to travel from point A to point B?
Because you have no license plates on your vehicle, sir.
Would you like to see my paperwork?
Yes, I will. I asked for it 2 seconds ago.
Did you hear what the cop's answer was when Paul said, "What makes you believe that I need a license, insurance, and registration?" And he said, "Because you don't have a license plate on your vehicle." Well, that's really not an answer. Okay, so here's some more of this interaction.
It's not what I have for you, sir.
Okay.
I have here the definitions from the Motor Vehicle Code. I have the Supreme Court decisions and everything you need here to understand that I don't need a license, registration, or any documentation to travel from point A to point B. It is a right that has been preserved by the Supreme Court and the law of the land.
It's been amen. So now he comes at the cop with documentation from the law of the land, which is supposed to be the Constitution of the United States, from the Supreme Court. He's got the documentation all ready to go so that he can inform this officer that, hey, you're operating in extreme ignorance, and that's going to be to my detriment unless you listen to what I have to say. So that's who Paul is. If you want the rest of this video, I'll leave a link in the description in the pinned comment. But that interaction turned out pretty good for you, right, Paul?
Sure, Brian. And a lot of folks out there think that maybe just the man acting as an officer, as a public servant, might have made a mistake or been derelict in his duty. But no, that's not the case. Turns out that under the federal code, right, which people call law, it's still not law, but one of the superior, if not supreme codes outlines. We've gone over this before, Brian. A motor vehicle is a commercial instrument. Driving is a commercial term, right? We're going to get it. We're like the news. We're going to repeat and repeat until folks get it that, shockingly enough, we have a God-given right to move property. I know, crazy as it may seem, our servants can't force us into contract and force us to give them legal currency.
So what would you say to somebody who goes, but Paul, man, it's not a right. I mean, it's not a right like the right to property. It's not a right like the right to keep 100% of all your income. This is driving. It's a privilege that's granted to you by government. What would you say to somebody who comes at you like that?
I would say, where in the foundational philosophical law of the land do you derive the belief, in any sense of the word, that servants have a right to rule over the comings and goings of man and woman? Now, they can advise, they can suggest, they can write up public policy, again, which is all advisory. This is the foundational philosophical principles of law on a common law land, where the people interpret the law. God makes the law, the people interpret the law, servants uphold that law. If you become destructive of the means and ends of the foundational principles of the law of the land, the authority that you believe you possess transfers back to man and woman, right? So anything that is a detriment to my beingness is a wrongdoing. Because if we're all created equal and man and woman steps down into service position, where do they derive the ability to regulate their creator, right? This is, again, inversion therapy. It's the same way we want to become God and regulate the creator, or corrupt the creator's word, or corrupt the universal law, right? Where they say it on the street, Brian, you got to stay in your lane and you got to know your position and you got to stick to the script. And that's not happening.
Anything that's a detriment to my beingness is a wrongdoing, is what you just said, right?
Right, because I have, crazy as it is, the ability to speak directly with my creator, whoever, whatever you believe that is. My rights come directly from that being. So if you want to interfere with something I'm doing to pursue my happiness, I would suggest moving property from point A to point B would fall under the pursuit of happiness. If you want to interfere with my rights, deprivation of rights under color of law, United States Codes 242, Section 1983. Policy and code is distinguished as color of law because law is law and policy and code is policy and code. One is part of the legal society. The other one is part of the common law American society, right? So we're conflating jurisdictions everywhere, public and private. We're conflating the corporate and non-corporate capacity everywhere. We're conflating the law with policy. And this is, again, part of the mind control system we find us under, because your school system is funded by the same folks who want to teach you that they are God in this realm. Isn't it interesting how we have a conflict of interest, right, Brian? The government's funding the public schools to teach you that government is God, but nobody seems to see that we're eroding the foundational principles of this land, removing God from the foundation.
Yeah, I would say that's a major conflict of interest. And it's amazing, even still more amazing, that millions and millions of people don't even see that. One of the references that Paul just gave, I just put up on the screen, 18 USC Code 242, which is deprivation of rights under color of law, which whoever wrote this, whenever they wrote this, said whoever under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, and even includes privileges or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution, shall be fined or imprisoned or both, or shall be sentenced to death, is what 18 USC 242 says.
Wow. So we've come to know that the majority of these municipal corporations are operating counter to the foundational superior codes and laws of the land, and therefore they are deemed as traitors and redcoats, because as I talked about the other day, British Accredited Registry Bar Agent is a federal is a foreign corporation. A lot of this stuff is located in a district of Columbia, which is in a state or on the land known as, I believe, what is it again? Maryland? Where is it? This is how little I pay attention to politics and the political system, right? But what we're having here is a corporation incorporated in 1860, I believe, foreign corporation heading itself within the confines of the United States and using a corporate takeover, much like Chiquita Banana. They got into Cuba to use a corporate takeover. They make these corporations, they put them on the land, and then they use their subsidiaries to overthrow the law of the land. It's called a corporate takeover by the same folks we fought a revolution against. Wow, how coincidental.
All right, so the question
That's why Don go over there and bow to the Queen. I'm sorry, Brian, but I just want to remind everyone that's why they say you and the UK have a special relationship, and the president of your company goes over there and bows to the royalty, right? Because they're showing submission. So that is treason. That is redcoat behavior. We fought a war against these folks because we don't want a special relationship with them. We want our independence and sovereignty, and we no longer have that. And people think it's just dandy.
So since we have these codes that align themselves with what we would call natural law, 18 USC 241, conspiracy against rights, 242, deprivation of rights, 42, 1983, which is also addresses the deprivation of rights. Since we already have this codified, which assents to universal natural law, and the agents of government continue to violate that as they violate us, what's the answer for it? Like when the rubber meets the road, you and I can talk all day about this till we're blue in the face. We can constantly remind people, but how do we actually affect change in our world?
Okay, so first and foremost, this has to be a self journey. This has to be something you do because you know it's true and what's right, and it's the most important thing above all other things. Principles in Latin means first things first. So this is a principle journey that you have to walk because basically you have no other option, because basically what you call God tells you directly through your conscience that this has to be done. So we do what has to be done and what's right, and we surrender the outcome. Now, when it comes to getting redress, we're going to have to learn how to bring claim into these courts and get these folks on record, and again, surrender the rest. I didn't tell you to show up to a fight that you believe you can win. I told you in order to be honorable and righteous, you have to show up to fights that you may very well know you're going to lose, right? And then I'll give you, like I've been giving people lately, this is my metaphor, right? You show up to prison, the Bloods and Crips are going to put you against the wall and surround you, and they're going to beat on you and say, if you can't stand for yourself and take a beating, we can't use you. Because again, the weakest link in the chain defines how strong the chain is. So if you can't take a beating knowing you're going to lose, we can't use you. We don't want folks who only show up when it's time to win. We want folks who will give everything up to be given everything because what they're standing on, they know to be true.
It kind of reminds me of the Mark Twain quote in the beginning of A Change: the patriot is a scarce and brave and hated and scorned man. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Kind of sounds familiar, huh?
That's it. And like I tell him, see, I didn't even finish my point there. If the Bloods and Crips can't use you because you're not willing to stand and take a beating, what makes you think God and the founders and the principles of this country can use you, right? That's why I say, go away from me. Let posterity forget that you were my countrymen. Let the chain sit lightly upon you, right? Keep eating from the hand of your master. Keep voting for policy makers. Keep waiting for someone to save you and stand on your rights more than you're standing on them. It ain't going to happen.
Damn, dude, I couldn't agree more. Osgood Black says in the comment section, by the way, if you have a question for Paul and you want to get my attention and you feel like super chat's the best way to do it, I'm never going to be able to pick it out of the chat. So just let me know. But Osgood Black says, if you're not willing to die for it or kill for it, it's really not yours.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, you have to be willing to kill, die, or go to prison for what you know to be true, right? That's the dynamic. I didn't make it up. I don't necessarily want it to be true. I'm just like everyone out there. I have an ego that wants and doesn't want things to be true, but that doesn't make them true or untrue, right? What's true throughout history, the dynamic we see sociologically is those who are not willing to kill, die, or go to prison for what they know to be true will be ruled over, right?
And I like the way you put that, for what they know to be true, not for what they believe in, because this is a knowing. This transcends a believing. A believing is just putting your trust in something you hope is true or you think it might be true, but you're talking about putting your life on the line for and your family's life. Put your life on the line for yourself and for your family. It's for a knowing, right? It's for knowing that what you're doing, whether it fails or succeeds, it's just right. It's the right thing to do.
Like you just said, belief characterized by hope. The Tao says hope is as hollow as fear. It's a detracting emotion, right? So when one believes on the QAnon and believes on the policymakers and believes on the narrative, it requires false hope. See, knowing only requires true faith. I have true faith in doing the next right thing with the discernment of what I know to be true. I don't care what happens after that. I do it because it's true and right, not because it's going to benefit me. See, that's the difference. Belief requires you to do mental gymnastics and ignore certain things. The true faith of knowing requires you to have discernment and look at the darkness in order to transmute it into light and empowerment. That is alchemy.
Yeah, and usually belief, specifically religious belief, almost requires you to deny exactly what is true. Well, real quick before we leave your traffic stop or whatever people term it these days in the geographic location called Colorado, the one thing Chicago Motor Coach or Chicago Coach Company versus City of Chicago says, no government entity has the power to allow or deny passage on the highways, byways, or waterways. Look at that. No state government entity has the power to allow or deny passage on the highways, byways, or waterways, transporting his vehicle and personal property for either recreation or business, but by being subject only to the local regulation, i.e. safety, caution, traffic lights, speed limits, etc. And then they close it out by saying, travel is not a privilege requiring licensing, vehicle registration, or forced insurances. Is that kind of what you had on that little paper that you handed that cop, Paul?
I had two definitions on there. There was almost nothing on those papers. I had a definition of driver and a definition of motor vehicle, Bouvier's law or Black's law, and federal motor carrier definition. So, like you just said, that's common sense. We're back to common sense, right? A good idea doesn't require force and is usually based in common sense.
Right.
So when I'm out, I don't have license, registration, insurance, and plates. Well, but what I do have is the common sense to know that I should probably follow the flow of traffic. I probably shouldn't go counter to the lights, whether I agree with them or not, because there's a flow, there's an order there. If I go counter, it's going to do harm to me and others.
Right.
Right. So I move with the flow of the traffic. I follow the traffic ordinances for safety, right? Because it's common sense to me. I'm not going to blow through a red light like public servants do and put my lights on. Even though I'm not going to an emergency, I'm going to use emergency lights and blow through the lights and possibly cause an accident. No, I'm not going to do that, right? But again, servants just somewhere along the way, they've developed more rights and abilities than the people they serve. I don't know how that happened, Brian. So many times I see them speeding and blowing lights and then breaking policy by using emergency lights to not respond to an emergency. So, you know, they seem to have more rights and abilities than the rest of us. And I'm pretty sure that's because we've conducted ourselves like a bunch of mind-controlled slaves. So you act like a slave, you'll get treated like one. How does it feel?
Yeah, well, the public servants actually verbalize, and with their actions, they displayed that they truly believe that they do have more rights than the rest of them, that badges and uniforms grant special rights. There was that federal way cop named Brianna Strauss who said, I can go 95. You can't go 95. And if we're pulling behind you, it's probably because you did something wrong. If you didn't, then get the F out of the way. That's the mentality that they have.
And if you don't get the F out of the way, we might just make something up to hem you up and teach you a lesson, right? Because we are the law. That's what they tell me. We are the law. I go, no, you ain't. You're a public servant and you're beholden to me. And if you don't uphold the law and my rights, not only are you not the law, you're a breaker of the law. You're an undoer of the law. You're a reprobate. And again, we go back to federal code. It's always 20 years or death, because back in the day, they weren't playing with evil scum like this. You want to overthrow the rights of man and woman? You want to do slavery and genocide? We just take you up out of here because we're tired of you. You know?
Yep, exactly. Sorry, I cut in on you. What'd you say? What was the last thing?
No, I said they'll say that's extreme, right? That all the founders and the law of the land basically outlines directly, literally, that we have a right to alter or abolish when these folks want to do slavery and genocide on a mass scale. But if you say that, even if you just read what the founders wrote, you're a racist, right-wing, national, white, extremist terrorist.
Right.
Right. In the police academies, they're teaching folks that the founders were the original terrorists. Right. And I have all that tape. Right, that recording.
Yeah, well, you find yourself on a no-fly list or an FBI most wanted list if you start saying the things that the founding fathers said, like what you just said. Samuel Adams said, if you love wealth greater than liberty, the tranquility of servitude rather than the animating contest of freedom. And it is an animating contest of freedom, and it kind of sets your spirit free when you think about and kind of munch on those words, because it's just a truism that reaches beyond the pale and basically just touches your heart, because it touches on the reality of this life. If you want to maintain freedom, if you want to keep freedom, if you want to accumulate freedom for your children, then you got to fight for it. You got to fight for it every day, because there's always somebody out there, a group of tyrants who wants to take that freedom away from you. And they'll look for any reason or write down, they'll make up reasons in the book so that they can remove more from you. Again, before
you just said,
go ahead.
I touch on that, right? The space of true faith. That is what we call in different cultures nirvana. It's serenity. It's peace. It's a deliverance from evil. Even if it's being done to you, it's mitigated, right? So when we serve something beyond our body and ourself, our heart space, our emotional space is able to move beyond ourselves. So somebody could be doing something to us and ourselves, but we're almost delivered from it, right? We're back to the Christed story in scripture, the moment of doubt, and then the being accepted the fate and destiny of living righteous in an evil world and having to be taken up out of here. And he was delivered from the evil, right? And resurrected, reborn. This is what we're talking about. The walk has not changed for thousands of years because eternal truth is eternal. The truth has not changed. I am the same yesterday as I am today, as I will be tomorrow, the being said.
It reminds me of what you said the other day 2 days ago on a live stream. I was listening in on you while I was making breakfast, but you said something like, adversary makes men, prosperity makes monsters. And you were speaking in the context of all these people who have it easy these days seem to have plenty of time to engage in nonsense, but no time to actually nourish their own spirits by the fact that truth is something that we have to continue to fight for and move forward and advance, because if we don't, we're going to lose it. It's kind of like I think you mentioned in that same live stream something about Klaus Schwab's Great Reset, Fourth Industrial Revolution. You'll own nothing and be happy. These monsters are literally moving in on us, and the worst thing about this is not so much that governments are filled with psychopaths, because there are very few psychopaths in this world. It's just that those few psychopaths are ruling the many who are willing to bow down and throw their freedom out for these psychopaths.
So hold on to that Klaus thought there so I could come back to it. But you say folks didn't have the time. They don't seem to have the time. No, they have plenty of time for busyness, to do business, spelled busyness. What they don't have is the will to do what's true and what's right, because they're cowards, right? Let's get right down to the psychological, sociological dynamic. They want to be comfortable in their suffering. They want to make a lot of money. They want benefits and privileges, right? We're back to the emulation of the system. You get benefits and privileges, forget about them rights. So they say, absolutely, we want comfort, benefits, privileges. We want success. We want self-aggrandizement. What we don't want to do is serve something beyond self, a righteous ideology that secures self and the rest of us, right? They don't want to do that work. They don't want to take on that responsibility. They don't want to take on that accountability because, again, they're creatures of comfort. Adversity makes men. Prosperity makes monsters. The comfortable become weak, and our civilization slips another few points on the scale of rights and freedoms. Because, again, rights and freedoms cannot be secured by a population of creature comfort, inauthentic, corporate, cowardly males.
Exactly. And that's why I feel like, see, like when we talk about this kind of stuff, it's almost like this universal thread line of truth runs in the veins of everybody who has actually apprehended it, because it does take bravery. It takes courage to actually work your way out of this thing, because when you start launching out and putting your ideas into action, which is exactly what wisdom is. It's the application of knowledge. When you start applying that knowledge in daily life, you know what the ramifications are going to be in this world. The ramifications are going to be, oh, you're probably going to lose some of those creature comforts that you have because you decided to go outside of the box that the 15,000-hour public fool indoctrination program has taught you. You went outside the box. You started questioning authority. You started lifting up too many rocks to find out what the truth is. And then once you apprehended the truth and started to act on that truth, now you're going to get penalized. Because that's the way the system operates. It penalizes people who are truly courageous, truly brave, and truly know what's going on in this world.
Now let me reveal to you the bottomless pit while we have wings, right? The reason for this system is, according to scripture, the way I understand it, Lucifer, Shaitan, the deceiver, the egoic archetype said, God, I can do it better than you. And God said, go ahead and show me what you got. And voila, here's what we have. So the God of creation essentially said he wanted to see what this being had as far as institutions and systems and mind control, because he wanted to test the loyalty, the righteousness, the vigilance of the faith. He wanted to test the faith of men and women, right? So he commissioned a being to create a whole system to test, right, for the kingdom of heaven. Who will stand and be counted and be anointed to make entrance into the kingdom of heaven, which will be on earth? Who will forsake and give their soul over like Shaitan bringing the Christed being up on the hill. Just say we are the gods of this realm and do what we say, and we will take all the suffering and pain away from you. We'll even give you everything. We'll give you the gold and silver. We'll make you everything. And the being said, what profit a man if he gaineth the world but lose his soul? That is the dynamic that the force of creation has allowed to take place in this realm, to test each and every man in their individual mind and heart. Who and what are you, and what do you stand for? And guess what, Brian? The answer is you work with, you're of your father, the devil, and cowardice and fear runs your life. The opposite polarity of care and love. They say God is love. Well, then fear and cowardice must be of the devil, the deceiver, who comes to kill, steal, and destroy only with your free choice, because you have to allow it in. You have to accept it. You have to sign on, right? It's one big arena simulation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I land on the the people who call that the sacred scriptures or whatever. I do see some parallels on what's going on in this life. I'm not going to sit here and stand and say that what these people wrote in what we call, scriptures, the holy book or Bible, is what's actually going on in real life. And I'm not going to attempt to use that to explain what's actually going on before our very eyes. I can't disprove it, but then again, I can't prove it. So I can't really stand on what you're saying right there. You know what I mean?
What I'm saying when I say that, Brian, is I'm giving you a 2,000-year-old depiction. I'm not claiming it's God's word. I'm not claiming it's infallible. I'm giving you a 2,000-year-old depiction of a same beast system that has been operating from the beginning of time and continues thousands of years later. Big banks, big religion, big government. I was going to give you this finger, but I went to this one because it was appropriate. Big banks, big religion, big government are killing the Christed consciousness in any time and present and location that you incarnate in throughout history. So again, this is just I can give you Muslim scripture. It'll come out the same way. I can give you Masonic scripture. It comes out the same way. Right? Yeah. Eternal truth, when it's founded in understanding, doesn't matter where it comes from. It's depicting an objective reality we all keep facing. Right?
You just read my mind on that. Exactly. It's a depiction of objective reality. So yeah, so I agree with you, because I've seen, the Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna text, the Islamic text, the Hindu Muslims, the Christian text, and all that kind of stuff does have parallels of objective truth that we see unfolding before our very eyes. So I'm on board with you right there.
Absolutely.
All right. So moving on from these traffic stops. Well, before we move on from that, do you think it would be prudent for somebody who wants to step out? And we all deal with fears. If we're honest with each other, if we're honest with ourselves, we all know that there is cowardice in every single one of us. There is a desire to move toward comfort and away from, scrutiny and adversity. And we want things to be good. We want to be safe. We want our families to be safe. So there's that barrier of breaking through and breaking out of the mold of cowardice. So how do you go for people who are watching right now? And it's like, yeah, Paul might be brave. Brian might be brave. Some of these people in the room seem like they're talking brave, but how do I step beyond that and implement the things that I know what you're saying is true? How do they do? I'm like, what's one of the ways that they can step out and do that?
Like you just said, bravery is defined as not the absence of fear. It's feeling fear and going past it for what you know is right or desirable. See, I tend to not use the word desire because it's the root of all suffering in many traditions. And the desire for comfort is a root of suffering, right? So happiness is acquired in the ability to enjoy less, not in acquiring more, right? So if you want to go past your fear, start by practicing. If you can't go big with it, right? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If you want to carry away a mountain, begin by carrying away small stones. So find the fears in your life, identify the places in your life where you want to do something, you desire something, you'd like to go to the next level, you'd like to acquire something, but you're too afraid to do the next step, and start working on that. Start taking the next step regardless of how you feel. Oh, this makes me feel fear. Cool. I can objectively, logically determine that beyond the emotion is a plan, is a purpose, is a meaning, is a vision. Shoot for that and let the emotion work with you rather than against you, right? And then once you start to practice that movement, you start to get used to that alchemy process where when you feel, every time I still come on before a broadcast, I get nervous and fearful and a bit insecure, right? Just like anybody going on stage. And at first, it would paralyze me. Now I've learned to work with that emotion, energy, and motion, and it gets me excited. It gets my mind working. It gets my blood pumping. I let it work for me. I let it keep me alive rather than paralyze me and force me into a disempowerment death stage, right? Suffering and death stage. So again, this is mind science. This is emotional science. This is the ability to observe oneself, make connections, and then restructure the inner space, right? And then again, they've shown chemically the neurons will update and your brain chemistry will change. And as you work this muscle, as you work this practice, you'll just become better and better at going past what feels like paralyzing fear, right?
See, I'm so glad you said that right there, because so many people look at somebody like you or somebody who does a podcast and it's like, oh man, these people don't experience fear like I do. We're all on the same plane. We're all on the same level. We're all human beings. I'm the same way, man. If I know, like, if I go out, if me and Trish go out knowing that we're going to go give interviews, street interviews, I am freaking nervous. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Can't we do something else? You know, right before this live stream right here, I'm like, man, probably 200 or 300 people are going to be watching this. I'll probably say something stupid. And, you get all nervous and you try to talk yourself out of the very thing that you should be doing so that you can advance the cause of humanity so you can make this world a better place for your children. So I'm super glad you said that, man. That brings humanity back into the picture for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And the only thing that really kind of mitigates is this care function. I care enough about who I am and what I'm doing and going past my fear and speaking and living truth. I care more about that than I do securing myself for another few moments from my feelings, right? Like I'd rather push past, mumble, stumble, embarrass myself and know that I'll be okay after, rather than recoil from the fear and keep it, right? Because for so long in my life, I was inactive. I didn't pursue my dreams, quote unquote. I didn't get active in the community. I didn't create my character from the inside out, right? I don't mean acting. I mean, that's character. Like say, the man's character defines him. So you have to create that. And then you bring that out into the world and you show it, and then you get back what you put out, right? So it's a beautiful process. We have to remember that we will be okay on some level. Even if, again, we're suffering and dying, we're all going to suffer and die someday. If we're not already, we're all up out of here. But again, if we do the next right thing, if we repent, if we conduct ourselves correctly from here on out, we can at least die with dignity.
That is super encouraging, man. So I got in the background, you can't see it, but I've got your YouTube channel, Paul Unslaved. First of all, why did you title your YouTube channel Paul Unslaved, and how does one become unslaved?
Because the word is enslaved, and then the opposite, I guess it would be preposition, would be unslaved, right? So if one is enslaved, then the only way out from that would be to unslave. And again, we know all conditions start in the mind first. As the mind goes, the man follows, I believe the Kybalion says. So it's thoughts, emotions, and actions. It's sacred Trinity, right? It's Father, Mother, Holy Spirit moved into action. I know they like to teach you 2 men gave birth to this process, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. No, it's Father, logical thought, the mason, right? The builder, the thing that lays out the plan with the vision. It's Mother, it's heart-based love and care, feminine principle. It's Holy Spirit, the energy cultivated to move into action to create the kingdom of heaven. Again, I'm giving you metaphorical, what some people think are religious terms. They may be, but they're a description of a state of beingness that is contingent upon conducting yourself along the lines of cosmic law and the mind science, right? When we operate from conscience, when we cultivate the correct thoughts that give way to the correct emotion and energy and spirit, we can then act correctly. That is the true sacred Trinity.
So when you start becoming unslaved, I'm assuming, I mean, I'm speaking rhetorically. I know that when you become unslaved or you try to walk off the plantation, so to speak, you can expect adversity, you can expect pushback, you can expect basically the lemming masses to try to pull you back in to that comfort zone, like kind of like we see, with all this COVID 1984 by George Orwell thing, where the authorities were telling you you couldn't go to funerals and you can't go to Christmas dinner and you can't go to Thanksgiving dinner, and if you do, then you're going to jeopardize the life of Granny and Grandpa. So people tend to fall in line so that they can please the masters and so that they can do their bidding. So what's the way out of that? Because there's so many pitfalls to becoming unslaved, to walking off the plantation where so many hands are trying to grab you back in. What's the answer to somebody who's just sitting there going, yeah, I want to be enslaved, but man, I'm not sure I want to lose my family. I'm not sure I want to get that much pushback from my neighbors. What do you say to somebody like that?
Well, like you just said, there's a whole bunch of people out there who want this system and continue to identify with it and ask it for benefits and privileges and services. So if they want it, then they can have it. The idea here is status and standing and presentment and how you identify. Stop identifying as a member of the body politic, as a corporate person under United States code, right? There's two kind of persons. When you're identifying with that license and all that regalia of the state, it's an all caps entity. You've diminished your capacity. You've been moved into the world of the dead. So start by correcting your contracts, start by correcting your obligations, correcting the record, creating the proper notice and presentment to give to these institutions. Again, there's no guarantees here. It's just about, hey, I once believed that I had to be a slave and under policy and code. I now understand I've been revealed to the kingdom of God that I have free choice, right, to do the will rather than my own will, right? So once you come to that space, this is just about correcting the record. This is my spiritual belief. This is my belief in conscience and consciousness. I have a right to that, and I'm going to lay it out for you. And when it makes complete sense and it's based in the foundational principles of the law of this land, I expect you to uphold it. Whether they will or not, who knows? We've got so far down the line where folks don't know objectively right from wrong, don't know the law, and don't really seem to care because the money keeps rolling in.
Yeah.
We're back to scripture. You can't serve two masters. The ones who went reprobate in the scriptures were the servants of Moloch and Mammon. That's the god of Mon-I, M-O-N-E-Y, broken in the middle. It's Mon-I, one eye, the corruption of the original. The Christed being said, if your eye be single, your body be filled with light. So rather than get you to go inward and cultivate that one eye pineal gland internal vision and awakening, they want you rooted in the 5 sense world looking for the corruption of the original, the Mon-I, the symbol of power, right? But again, not the true power.
Okay,
not
so
the true.
All right. So is it fair to say, based on what you just said, that person who is thinking about the consequences of walking off the plantation, if he would just digest what you just said about what this material world is all about, what truth really is, and actually apprehending that truth, then that truth is going to be burning in him like a fire, and it's going to override that fear of walking off the plantation, because all he cares about is, hey, yeah, I might go down. I might take one for the team, but I know that what I'm doing at this moment in time in this world is the right thing to do. And I'm going to do it because it's right, not for any other reason.
See, with everything that we've seen, you would have to ask someone like that, why are you more afraid of what's going to happen to you possibly than what's going to happen to you and all of us if you don't do what you know is true and what's right? Again, we're back to the scriptural idea of the man who is more afraid of what another man will do to him rather than what God and the universe will do to him is a fool, right? Because somehow or another, I'm still here talking to you, walking the path, doing the will, right? So one way or another, it seems God protects babies and fools, or maybe righteous men. Who knows? Presuming that you see me as righteous, right? But the bottom line here is, again, this is a misprioritization of consciousness, where folks prioritize survival mode because they're bodily identified rather than the thriving mode because they're spiritually identified, right? I identify with spirit and consciousness. I don't identify with this body. Consciousness has taken on this body, right? Folks who identify as this body and are afraid to lose it can never go to the next level into the spiritual realm because they're rooted in the physical. They're in the world and of it, the being said.
Right.
I am in the world, not of it, right? Those of you who are in the mind control institutions. You are in the world and of it. You're of your father, the devil, and you're fallen beings, and you do not have access to the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a criticism of what you just said from Ransom Pendragon. Wow, this, folks, is spiritualism and lacks any coherence. It's borrowing from all religions to make some kind of convoluted worldview.
Okay, so the problem with this being is he cannot conceive beyond the 5 cents of what's actually happening, right? These big religions are corruptions of the ancient wisdom and eternal truth. It wasn't until most of the time, hundreds of years later, that a lot of these big religions were created and funded. These are not the original teachings and walk. So how you can tell me I'm not creating coherence when I'm joining all the religions in the one eternal truth that pervades all of them, if you look for it, that's the definition of coherence. I'm bringing all of the principles, all of the studies, all of the religions into one teaching and understanding because it's written within there, right? The reason why all these religions are at war with each other and divided is because they don't understand true self and don't understand objective truth. They're caught up in a culture. The root word is cult.
Mm-hmm.
They're caught up in a society where they believe they have all the truth because it's written in a book and everyone else is false. They don't have a direct relationship with the being that's talked about in their book they're reading. If they had a direct relationship with the all, right, with what we call God, with the Most High, they wouldn't need the book. It would be redundant, right? The people who wrote the book had a direct relationship with the Most High. They wrote the book. You went to go read the book they wrote because you don't have a direct relationship with the Most High. Therefore, you're in misunderstanding and mischaracterization.
So, okay, so we talk about principles. Give me one or two of those principles that you're specifically referring to.
In what sense?
Well, you talk about principles being the first things. What are some of the principles people need to embed within their heart so that it becomes part of their DNA so they can change their lives? What's one of those?
I have a right to do whatever I please as long as I don't cause loss, injury, and harm. Wow, that's fascinating. I know some think that they need a cosmic mommy and daddy to constantly keep them safe from themselves, but no, I have a right to do whatever I please that doesn't cause others loss, injury, and harm. And unless another man or woman brings forth a claim that I've caused loss, injury, and harm, someone somewhere is trying to do fraud.
Okay, so freeze that right there. I wanted to go back to Ransom Pendragon, who said that this lacks any coherence. How does that statement that Paul just said about the first principle of I can do whatever I want to as long as I don't harm, threaten to harm, or steal somebody else's stuff, how does that specifically lack coherence? Because anybody can get on here in the chat room and start making, it's fine to offer criticisms, but if they're criticisms without basis, that really doesn't help anybody. And that is the first principle that I like to live by is number one, nobody has a higher claim over your life and property than you. If they do, where did they get it? And why don't the rest of us have it? Second thing, it's
Can I give another one of my principles?
Yeah, go for it.
Brian.
Yep.
Rather than watching, waiting, wishing, and hating on other men and women to do what you say you know to be true better than you do it and giving them critique, how about you go and do it yourself? That's one of my, again, I'm weird like that, right? Because again, you have a lot of folks who like to show up. They're not thankful. They're not grateful. They don't see value in what's going on, yet they want to offer criticism and critique. And when 99% of the time I ask these folks, I bring them up. So what are you doing? What are you creating? You know what comes back, Ryan? Little to nothing. So again, I have to conclude that you're an undisciplined, unrighteous, unwillful being because you're watching me and waiting for me to do what you say you know you should do because you can't do it yourself or won't do it, right? So, I mean, again, I bring these folks up and I give them time and attention to highlight the human condition and exactly what the problem is in our world, right? Everyone's sitting back, watching, waiting, and hating for Donnie or Joey to save them from what they've created. And when they won't do it the right way, they complain, but they'll never step up and create something for themselves, their community, and their country.
Right. Yeah. So basically,
Brian, that's what it really comes down to. And now I'm going to get in my ego because I want to trigger folks. I want them looking at themselves. I want them questioning who and what I am. And I want the truth to shine through because we don't have to tiptoe around the truth, right? We don't have to sugarcoat it. It will stand on its own one way or the other. So ask that being, like every other being who offers criticism, what are you doing, sir or ma'am? And when the answer is nothing, what makes you so arrogant and egotistical to think you're going to come somewhere and tell someone who's doing something how they should do it while you're doing nothing?
Yeah. So the response to that kind of thing is, why don't you go ahead and do it? Show us how it's done, and then I'll follow suit. Because obviously I'm missing something in my life that I need to make this world a better place. And if you're going to sit there and criticize, you obviously must have a better idea, right?
Of course. So just show us all. And then that's when you don't hear from them ever again. Or some folks get off their ass because they're motivated by that. You say, you know what? Finally, someone in my life, because I probably don't have a real daddy at home to call me on my nonsense and to speak empowerment into me with tough words, right? So sometimes when I have to go into daddy mode, Brian, and speak the tough truth into these folks that they need to hear, they say, thank you, Paul. I didn't like it, but now I'm going to get off my ass and I'm going to become something. And I say, praise Jeebus.
I love it, man. Okay, so let me reference another thing that you said in response to a criticism on your channel the other day, 2 days ago when you were live streaming. Somebody said, "What do we?" But Paul, what do we do? What was your response to that? Because there's no way I'm going to be able to articulate how you laid it out.
Well, you know, Brian, sometimes when things go getting hot and challenging for people, they start speaking foreign languages like French, right? They start going, we. And I go, hey, hold on right there. There is no we. There's you and I. We comes when we are in a camp together because we're fully in slavery and genocide, or when we get put in the ground. Because I'm not responsible and account able for you, right? Just like you're not for me. So again, this is an individual walk with you and the Creator. Walk the walk, seek the truth, step into your power, and you won't need we anymore. Folks who need we when it gets hot are scared they can't do what they need to do with I, right? Then all of a sudden they need we. When the stimulus checks are coming or when the lottery gets hit, there's no we. It's just you and I, right? But as soon as they need somebody to stand on truth and go to prison because they won't, hey, Paulie, come on down. We need to do something.
Yeah.
No, that's not how that works.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was classic how you handled that, because people are always looking for somebody to do something with them or for them, or, hey, you be our leader. You show us how to do it, because I don't really have it in my heart. Guys, I'm telling you, if you have this thing into your heart, it burns like a fire that you will not be able to contain. When you know something's right, you want to do the right thing because it's right. And you want to call out the people who are wrong because what they're doing is wrong. So you asked me to remind you to come back around to Klaus Schwab. So here we are, Klaus Schwab.
Klaus Schwab, but what were you saying about him? Like, what was the prerequisite there?
You were mentioning the mess we're in with all the oligarchs and the people who want to take control over the weak-minded by the fourth industrial revolution. You'll own nothing and be happy stuff.
Perfect. So we can keep sitting, like some folks say I do, when I point out the darkness, the bottomless pit, and remind you have wings. I'm not victiming. I'm telling you most folks are in a victim state. These people you see as evil may very well be evil, but the only problem is they're also your greatest teacher and tester, because we would not be able to rise to righteousness and do the will rather than our own will if we didn't have a group of folks saying, we're going to take everything from you if you don't stand on truth and rights. Ha, ha, ha. And we sit back and go, hey, give them more power. So whose fault is this? Who's really worse? We're supposed to be the good, righteous folks who are doing nothing, and therefore evil prevails. Evil triumphs for good men doing nothing, right? So these are our greatest teachers. These are our greatest testers. That's why I mirror that energy from time to time, because they're the ones who are going to get you up off your ass and active, because necessity is the mother of invention. When things get hot and you're forced to have to do things, that's when you get alive. That's when you come alive. You start to rise to the occasion, or you just curl up and die, right? Again, we're not all going to make it through this. I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying that's the dynamic. Some folks are not going to be able to rise to the occasion. They don't have the will. They don't have the spiritual connection. They don't have the ability to bring it forth, right? Or the transmission has been disrupted, the supernatural transmission. So again, stop seeing these folks as your masters and enslavers. Start seeing them as your greatest teachers, because they're the only mechanism there to get you up off your ass and get you resolving the problems and response able and righteous.
Let me just backtrack and clarify something with this we versus I thing. You're not saying that when I get down in my spirit, the things that I need to have right so that I can create a trajectory and walk the right path, that it's somehow wrong or not seen as a good thing for me to be involved in other people who have that same path and that same willingness and drive to do the right thing, right?
Yeah, as long as, again, we're back to the world famous speech that I gave a couple of weeks ago that will go down forever in history, much like the Declaration of Independence. You have to declare your independence on all levels. I gave the Declaration of Codependence. So there's a difference between declaring your independence and working with other declaratory independent folks to create a vision and a purpose. The problem is when we don't declare our independence on all levels and we want to declare codependency in order to lean on other folks so we can have our weaknesses enabled, right? Like a drug addict. Our support system is great. It works great until someone starts enabling a being to accept less for themselves and therefore take down the whole system, right? So there's no problem with working with other folks, like I said, who've declared their independence. The problem is folks oftentimes you find in group consciousness are codependent. They need the other folks there in order to be self, right? I don't want those folks around me. Then there's weakness in numbers. There's not strength in numbers at that point.
Good point. I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that you talked about in your live stream the other day too, that I was hoping we'd bring up here. So you brought it up. Good deal. Yeah, I hope that's clear to everybody in the chat, because I don't want people to think that it's not a good thing to organize and work together for a common cause. That's how you get things done. That's how buildings get built. That's how bridges get built. That's how water treatment plants or whatever get built. That's how progress is made. When a person has a vision, other people share in that vision, and then you work forward in a voluntary, organized manner so that a whole bunch of people can get a bunch of good stuff done. So I'm glad you clarified that.
Sure.
Last thing, because we're working on this is 52 minutes and I want to keep this under an hour, but I definitely want to keep talking to you more. If you guys want to hear more of Paul Unslaved, put a 1 in the room. If you want me to do another live stream with him, say next Saturday, are you good for next Saturday, Paul?
For you, Brian, I'm always available.
Awesome.
For you and the people, always available.
Good deal. And before we leave, I'm gonna leave I'm going to leave a link in the chat room with Paul Unslaved's YouTube channel. You got to go over there, watch a couple of his videos, maybe do some binge watching and get his numbers up. He's got 21,000 subscribers or a little over. See if we can't get him to 22,000 subscribers. There's 538 people in here right now. Don't forget to hit the like button. The last thing I wanted to ask you, Paul, is what do you perceive as, I don't even know if I want to ask the question like this. I'll just go ahead and out with it and we'll just kind of massage the question and the answer as we move along. But what do you perceive as one of, if not the biggest problem in the world today? And once we identify the problem, in your opinion, what is the solution?
The lack of ability to respond, the lack of responsibility and therefore accountability, the inability to respond to life on life's terms. It's what brings most addicts to rehab. The problem with most folks is they never realize they're addicts, so they never go to the rehab process. Most folks are addicted to slavery and genocide and don't know it, right? So the inability to respond, or they're codependent with it, right? Another terminology. So the ability to respond to life on life's terms is the biggest issue we face in the majority of folks, including myself, for most of my life.
So what's the solution to that? How do you gain the ability to respond appropriately to the things that are going on around you in the world?
Start apprehending reality correctly and objectively, separate from your belief systems, separate from your dysfunctional neurochemistry. Beliefs about self influence your beliefs about the world. So again, we're back to know thyself. Disconnect from all the devices for a period, right? Of vice in Latin. Get away from all your vices and forms of bondage and codependency. Get away from all the things you lean on, which are also poisonous and toxic. These could be people, places, and things. the town that you think you're from, that you relate with, you know, full of reprobates, drug activity, gang activity, right? Yeah, we have to disconnect from all these systems. We have to recenter. We have to rebalance. We have to get back to appreciating solitude. Soul, the root word means light, like sun, right? Sun is soul and in Latin, right? So we have to get back to cultivating on our own with ourselves the inner light. And then we have to go back into the world to bring that to other folks, right? So that's the process of learning to respond appropriately and then be accountable to life on life's terms. Is you have to know yourself first. You have to develop self-confidence and self-empowerment. You have to serve something beyond yourself, and then you have to stand on it, right? Once you live like that, you will develop self-worth, self-respect, and self-esteem. The reason we can't respond to life on life's terms often enough is because we haven't developed self-esteem by doing esteemable things. Go see someone who's successful, who has self-esteem and self-confidence. They're constantly solving the problems in their life. The problems in their life don't get them down. The problems in their life motivate them because they're solutions oriented, right?
Yeah, and I kind of liken it to a garden. If anybody, have you ever grown? Yeah, you've grown a garden, Paul. You grow gardens all the time, don't you? Yeah, I liken it to grow. If you don't stay on top of your garden, you didn't plant the seeds that grow the weeds, but the weeds are going to come up. If you don't stay on top of that garden and you hoe around your tomato plants or whatever plants that you're growing, it's going to get away from you very, very quickly. And the day that you don't show up is the day that more and more weeds grow in your garden. So looking at your garden is kind of like looking at life. You have to objectively assess what's going on. You have to objectively predict based on past what's happened in the past, what is going to happen in the future. There's always going to be tyrants, always going to try to take your freedom. There's always going to be somebody trying to move in and endanger your state of mind, or the state of mind of your family, and you got to stay ahead of it and you got to stay on top of it. I want to address one thing that Jason D said in the chat room. He said, "Here's the deal. You say we should all work together, but you raise your nose at this dude that I'm not going to mention, who raised hell in New York City on 9/11. I didn't raise my nose at this guy first. He raised his nose at me. I gave him a chance, and he kamikazed me and tried to blitz me hypocritically for things that he does himself on his own channel. So I view that person as an objectively bad faith actor. He has tried. I could show you DMs. I won't do it because I'm not going to throw him under the bus. But he is tried to offer me thousands of dollars to come to Oklahoma City and rally with him. I'm not going to rally with somebody that I know in my heart to be a bad faith actor. So, and he showed himself on that live stream to be a bad faith actor. I'm not going to mention the guy's name. Sorry to even deal with that while you're on the air, Paul, but
that's all good, man. Sometimes you got to address these things, when this stuff is out for consumption for everybody, stuff comes up. So sometimes we got to address it and deal with it. And listen, we surrender it. If folks don't have the discernment to see and feel what's going on and who's true, or true enough, then, let that be their walk, But again, we're back to, see, this is the thing that I'm learning. We can do this to highlight this, but we're back to, again, somebody spending way too much time and energy and attention focusing on Brian and this other guy and gossiping and watching and waiting for what they're going to do. Whoever that is needs to go start a channel, create some content, and bring Brian and them on and talk about it, right? You ain't going to solve it down in the chat, but it's good for the content creator, right? So this is why they're confused by me, because I'm supposed to shut up and let them keep typing because it's good for me to make me money, supposedly.
Right.
But I'm like, but we're in this to build people up and give them real truth and allow them to go off and co-create if they wish. So, hey, whatever.
Yeah,
it's all love at the end of the day.
It is all love, man. It's all love and respect. I truly love and respect you, man. So I'm putting in the chat room. I put Paul Unslaved's YouTube channel. What other social media outlets do you want to direct them to? Do you have other social media outlets?
Yeah, so I would say Telegram, because again, they come after the videos from time to time. They ban me. We're on shaky ground. So, all ubiquitously we're on shaky ground. So it would make sense that YouTube is no different. So I would say get on Telegram at least, if nothing else. You could get updates there on what I'm up to if you find value in it. And also, it'll create a base. So if we have to move around or if something comes up, I could communicate to folks there, because again, people get the channels taken down all the time. They're constantly, like I said, banning for a week at a time, putting strikes, and then not telling you how to fix that. So, Instagram, Facebook, Telegram, add me on those. And yeah, we can also too, it is a community on a certain level. That's what social media is supposed to be for. So if folks want to co-create with me and talk with me about, remedy, and they're not going to like blow me up, send me articles about nonsense. And, as long as we keep it cordial and respectful and centered in truth, I work with everybody and I don't charge for anything. So I would say that's pretty much on that.
So I'll tell you what, you guys subscribe to Paul Unslaved. And Paul, when we get done with this conversation, if you could just Skype me all those links to your Facebook and Telegram, I'll put those underneath in the description and the pinned comment when this video gets done rendering, so that people can they can have access to you.
Sounds good.
Paul, hang tight. Let me close out this stream. Guys, I appreciate you spending your time, your Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon with me. I will see you guys in the next live stream. Remember, the price of freedom is now and will always be eternal vigilance. And indifference to this notion is the means by which we have and will secure our own oppression. Stop securing your oppression. I'll see you guys in the next live stream.
All right, we got Eric Nellis up here. So yeah, that was a previous conversation with Brian from High Impact. Here's the deal, and myself. He didn't get back to me yet today. Faithfully, he's okay. Nothing happened to him. And presuming nothing happened, I'm sure he'll get back to me at some point. So called an audible at the line. I just went with the last hour. This way we kind of had what it says. Like, I don't have to change the headline now, technically. It's like we still had Paul Enslaved and Brian from High Impact, just not live today. It's a previous conversation. Still, I think a valid, valuable, entertaining conversation nonetheless. Your thoughts, Eric Nellis, in general, broken system, broken trust, and whoever else would like to join me before we wrap up shortly, I'd say over the next hour or so.
I think it was valuable. I always appreciate seeing you get a chance to talk with Brian. Excellent work, excellent job. Keep up the good work. Sorry I don't pop in more myself, but I like to pop in when I can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who does what away from here. I can't really make a judgment on it. I have a limited experience or information. But if nothing else, I think I myself and Brian always kind of have a good conversation and do a good broadcast. The audience seems to enjoy it. So, again, just to give the proviso for folks like Snafu Snaps and others, who think that I'm there to like hold him accountable and condemn him and make judgments on him. At the end of the day, we got to do what we all got to do for ourselves as men. You don't want to be who and what you're meant to be as far as I'm or God or yourself and your conscience is concerned. You got to live that. You got to experience that. It's really not any of my concern, other than what is going to by proxy happen to my body, which, what else is new, right? When you incarnate here, you're subject to an individual walk and a collective walk. So if the individuals don't want to do what they need to do, well, then collectively, my body and others will be subject to those consequences to some degree. And that's kind of the unspoken, quote unquote, social contract, I guess you could say here, that we're all indirectly responsible and accountable for each other because we're responsible and accountable for ourselves. And if we don't meet that, well, then that's going to spill over onto others. If we do meet that, that's going to spill over onto others, right? That's the difference between like loss and abandonment versus, loss, abandonment, lack versus abundance. So the individual doesn't adhere to these principles and values, they will experience loss and lack and abandonment, like many of the panel walkers that you see around me at times. And then you have other folks who are like coming more and more into abundance, despite whatever the micro and macro situation reports at times. If that makes sense.
Definitely makes sense. Definitely. So.
There's a guy down there who's like cycling over and over again in one of these guys' restream channels. Just says, I never worked, I never did anything, I just live off other people and I'm not worth anything. Okay, that's great. We saw it like 5 to 10 times. That's good stuff.
Another watcher, waiter, hater.
Yeah, I'm like the Bernie Sanders of broadcasting on YouTube. Why are you so upset? You don't do this to Bernie. Bernie never worked a job. Bernie never created anything. You don't, you know, people loved Bernie. Oh, not Paul Enslaved. He's living off Kendra. He's living off, as the guy puts it, Clyde. He's got all the names wrong. He's just got, they always have everything wrong. Like there's some truth to what he said. I haven't denied it. I've been Talcottian in certain ways. But then the presumption is like, even right now, today, as we speak, I'm living off Jennifer as well. Okay. Whatever you say. One of these days, we're going to bring Jennifer up here, you know, and she could just tell you what her experience is. How about that? Wouldn't that be interesting? You know, how like over the last year since meeting me, her life has improved immensely. She has more than ever. She's out of debt now. She's getting land, putting a dwelling on it. See, I think that that's a man's position in a woman's life, is to provide through knowledge, experience, and wisdom to help her have a better life for herself, together or apart from that man, like a daddy would do. I'm not here to fucking pay rent to stay with her, right? Like I have my own area, you know, I can afford to get a third area if I wanted to, right? So it like, I didn't charge Jennifer to come stay with me in my area for months when we were out there. Why should she charge me to stay with her? Are you retarded? She's not my landlord and I'm not hers. I don't owe her anything and she doesn't owe me anything. So we care for ourselves. We come together at times. We share certain things, including obligations and responsibilities. And you know, we as long as we take care of ourselves, there's usually never a problem in relationships. You folks want relationships where one person takes care of somebody else. I'm not interested in that. Go take that simping, tricking shit somewhere else where your mommy and daddy got it from. You act like these are women living out on the plains who have no function other than to stay home with my child and take care of a house. So I got to like pay their bills and give them allowance. It's 2020 fucking 5. Men and women both work. We all have our own shit. We can all care for ourselves and we're not in relationships for what we can get from each other. Fuck slave. Get a clue. That's a power couple. When you start to transition as individuals to a place of abundance and have more than enough for yourself and therefore can share that with each other and whoever else is down for that ride. You wouldn't know it. You want to be in relationships with liabilities who ain't got shit and need a motherfucker to pay them rent to stay there. That's you. A woman wouldn't dare say, you want to come back with me and stay at the house and then ask me to pay her fucking rent. Are you sick in the head? That's you. She's going to send you messages somewhere if she had to, if she got that desperate, which she probably never would because she's a good woman. But if she had to, you know, I might encourage her to hoe a little bit. She's going to have you paying her fucking rent, you simp trick, not me. And I wouldn't encourage that, quite frankly. She can get it better ways. She's a better woman than that. She doesn't have to resort to that. She's got talents and skills and abilities and ability to communicate and understand and discern and present, much like myself. Why would she resort to that? Quite frankly, why would I resort to living off her when I don't need to? Get a clue. Get a clue how an actually empowered, inspired individual and partnership works and what it looks and feels like. And how there's a fucking balance. Your thoughts, Eric Nellis?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I think, unhealthy relationships, and some of those unhealthy relationships literally are played out online. You sometimes see unhealthy panels, unhealthy groups. Hopefully, hopefully things I put together are not unhealthy groups. I have gotten to where, and so I still am like a one-trick pony, and the reason I say I'm pretty much a one-trick pony is because Facebook is almost all I do on social media. I really probably should do some other stuff as well, but for anybody who looks around for Eric Nellis, you'll find me on Facebook. I have gotten to where I at least get a Saturday Zoom loaded up onto Facebook It's not as good as viewing on YouTube, but if anybody gets an opportunity to see that, I appreciate any feedback at all. Positive, negative, tell me that I suck. Hopefully I don't suck too bad. But this one I did yesterday, there ended up being 3 of us for about 30 minutes. And but you know, hey, it is what it is. I feel like I'm beginning to communicate better. I just wish I was less of a one-trick pony. I probably should get my content placed other places than just Facebook. But for now, for the time being, Facebook is where the content that I get uploaded makes it.
Eric Nellis, I have no idea what the fuck you just said, and all it's reeking of is like you promoting for 5 minutes straight whatever it is you're doing on Facebook. So thanks for that. I'm gonna go ahead and speak for the audience. Like, just round of applause right there. Really thankful and grateful for that. Thank you. Again, listen to this moron or look at this moron. He's not saying anything, obviously. I'm not hearing voices other than Eric Nellis promoting his Facebook live streaming meetings and groups and whatever the fuck. Most people don't leech, the genius is saying, off others have bills, responsibilities, and have a lot to lose when standing for rights. You presume that I'm not a person and a human and have like bills and responsibilities. The key is I've removed most of the bills and responsibilities and I live within my means debt free. That's called like living self-sufficient. So I know you and all the other slaves are like indebted for the next 30 fucking years to pay for the 4 walls and roof over your head. And you're just too fucking sophisticated and civilized to go like me and pay $10,000 for like an immaculate, seemingly almost new but used trailer that has all the amenities of a modern day apartment so that I could live debt free and within my means. I could take loans and credit and all the rest of it. I've never lived like that. I've always just used whatever I have to get whatever I need. I don't live beyond my means. If I don't have the cash, I don't buy it. That's why I and others have, some value, certain savings, certain investments. They're debt free. They have few bills and obligations because they set themselves up like that. They're not too cute and cuddly and too sophisticated to just do without sometimes and live within their means. That's you. So start living within your means, and then you won't have too many things that own you, so much so you won't be able to be the man you're meant to be because you got things you're going to lose. You're already fucking emasculated and gelded. You got nothing, and you think you have things to lose because you pay a cable bill, because you pay for Stars and HBO late night. Give me a fucking break, loser. Just accept you're a loser, failure, comfort freak slave who can't manage your own life, finances, and affairs, and the record. Just cop to it. Then and then over the next 2 years, when I move into a different position with what I've done for the last 5 years, and you see me in like a different location, and you're going to ask me, well, how did it happen? Who did he live? Who did he grift off of? Who did he, how did it happen? And I'm about, did you remember when you were in my chat for the last 3 to 5 fucking years? Well, I just showed up every day for myself and others and gave away everything that I am. Do you think the universe brings value back for that? Take a guess. So, I will once again outcompete you and outperform you because within 3 to 5 years, I will have the home and the land and everything else by interacting in the private, value for value. I won't have to live off anyone, as you say, while you'll be indebted for still, let me check the calendar, 25 more years for the 4 walls and roof over your head because you're a dumb, unwilling, undisciplined, lazy, procrastinating, uncaring, unempathic, unintuitive. How many adjectives should I give Eric Nellis? You should give me a new test. 20 adjectives to describe. Right. I think you get where I'm going. I could give you lists of adjectives that describe me at one time that now describe this slave currently that don't describe me. And the results will indicate that.
Hey, one thing, not to make excuses for those in debt, but just to give like at least one sort of reason. There may be some who didn't learn that they shouldn't be in debt until recently. So let's say if somebody only 6 months ago realized they shouldn't be in debt to another man, they might they may have some time in getting out from under some of their previous obligations.
Right. Because like Jack Talcott, they need 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house for one jerk off who doesn't produce anything. Go ask the Mexicans who I worked with who would go and get a 3-bedroom apartment, right? And put 5 people in it and literally make the living room a bedroom, the kitchen a bedroom, and everyone splits the rent. And when you fast forward their life, like 3 to 5 years, they pull up in a fucking Maserati one day and have a big house while you're still in debt. Because they decided to go about 3 to 5 years just sacrificing everything, putting their fucking nose to the grindstone, minding their own motherfucking business, and not missing. That's why they're successful now on America, and you poor, pathetic, embarrassing, excuse-filled white slaves don't have shit. But you got HBO and Stars late night, and you got iPad and iPod and MePod and ShePod and ItPod. You got all the latest gadgets and devices hooked up to some web in your house because you're just so full of information, don't you know? You're just such interesting people. Give me a fucking break, dude. At some point, we're all going to have to grow the fuck up here like they accuse me of having to do. We're going to have to really get real with ourselves and dedicate ourselves to something, to create something, to be something, to fulfill some vision. They can't figure out why they work for a corporation with little to no energy or creativity for 20 years and barely get shit. They can't figure it out. We're going to have to wrap up here at some point, Eric Nellis. It's becoming redundant. What else do you know?
Don't stay long on account of me. I like I said,
Well, the cowards aren't going to come up, Eric Nellis. I keep posting the link, and they got a lot to say in chat. Not a lot to say. Their Twitter fingers are active.
It'd be cool if somebody else popped on for a minute.
Yeah,
I mean, I could.
Come on.
I got a little bit of flexibility. I could stay for 5 or 10 more minutes, but at the same time, if you think all the cool stuff is covered,
Yeah, I mean, you think these guys would have like a Netflix series to go watch? There's no new Netflix series. Jennifer pays your HBO. That's the thing. She doesn't pay anything for me. Doesn't need to. I don't know why you guys. You guys are just doing this to make yourselves feel better at this point. Like, seriously, stop. It's really weird and creepy. She doesn't have to. That's like really upsetting to you guys that like I can broadcast and do whatever I want every day. And if I was you, I would just show up like 4 days a week, 5 days max, just fucking mail it in, bullshit everyone, hope that something would come in and it wouldn't. You guys just can't believe it's like 500 days straight. And I don't have to have anyone pay for my shit. And I don't have to go work a slave job either. I know it fucking eats you up inside. I'm the underdog. I'm the anomaly. I'm the kid in the back of the class who smelled funny. How did I get here? How is it possible that I'm even able to do this? Why am I not relegated to working in the back of the dollar store, like the back of the classroom, the back of the dollar store? Like I'm not even good enough to be out front stocking the shelves. I'm the back room guy. You never see me. I'm back there with the trucks and the oil and the funny smell again. You can't believe it, Eric Nellis. They want me to fail so bad. They want to see me back with a hard hat working construction, picking up garbage for $80 a day. They can't fucking believe it.
Haters gonna hate.
Slow State, like they sent me the clip. He cried out in agony the other day again. He's like the 3rd time this month. Why is he not in jail? Why is he not censored? Why is he not in jail? He can't believe it. And they just got to keep spinning the narratives. He's living off Jennifer. Okay, if that makes you feel better. I'm a parasite is how I do what I do. Says the guy who won't come up here, talk, give anything to the audience, contribute anything to the conversation, who's repeated the same thing for the last hour. That's you. You are the parasite. Incredible holographic mirroring. I never get over that trick. Eric Nellis, that projection rejection thing, the mirror. I can never get over that. Once you see self as self and you start to realize where you do it and where you don't, and start to see where they do it and don't, you go, oh my God. How could I be parasiting when I'm literally called a host and I don't take anything from anyone? I'm the antithesis of the parasite. I'm called the host. What does that make you if you had a guess? I'm the host. I show up here every day to be me, and you slither along, nameless and faceless, to just repeat down there and try to suck off me. I'm pretty sure you just described you. Even the name and the entitlement and characterization proves it's the opposite of what they say. I'm the host, and you're not that. So it by default makes you the parasite in this interaction. You're here to suck something from me. And not all the right things, by the way. They're here to suck all the wrong things on me. Never what I ask.
Some of it is pattern recognition. When we have to believe people. When people show us who they are, we have to believe it. It's okay maybe to give people a second chance, but if second chance, third chance, at some point when they show you who they are, believe it.
I mean, listen, if you're entertained by it on some level, even if you come across frustrated, then what's the difference? We'll do 7 times 70, like the scripture says. You can come here 490 fucking times and play your games. I don't care. It's of no consequence to me. Quite frankly, as long as the audience lets me get away with it, I guess I'll continue it. The day where they all go, okay, we're done with you. Seriously, it stops today, all in unison. I go, okay, we got a mutiny on our hands here. That's when I got to like completely throw you away. As long as the audience somehow gets some perverse thrill out of watching me remix these folks day to day and just keep track of how they're watching, waiting, and hating constantly while failing and saying that's me. I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of fun. And then you kind of wonder, does it ever stop? Like, I know there's people like me who come here just to wonder if it's ever going to change or stop. And I go, dude, I'm right there with you. And I know I play into it and feed into it, but this is life. This is the wheel within the wheel. You're not going to get away from it. Like, they want to come to this broadcast to get away from the fact that they're living within a loop in the universe. I go, yeah, you're not going to get that here. I'll give you that like part-time, and then the rest of it's going to be hold your face up to the mirror, look at it. This is what it is. We're looping. It's a loop. What's happening? I know, it's scary. Let go lightly, hold on tightly. That's all I know how to tell you to do. I got that one from Talcott. I don't know where he got it from, but safe to say he got it from someone else. He never really gives anything of his own. It's all kind of, regurgitated and remixed. Still a good phrase. Let go lightly, hold on tightly. That's what I say now to myself. Paul enslaved did AIDS from a monkey. That's true. Can't deny it. I wasn't going to bring it out in the open. But, if you're going to mention it, I mean, I'm not a liar. I'll cop to it. Allegedly, by the way. Hasn't really been proven. Allegedly. I was practicing isolation up on the property. I was 17 miles from civilization. And a quite attractive chimpanzee. Looked a lot like Lauren de Laguna, if I may say so myself. Just kind of swung down from the upper canopy area, and I had my way with it. Yeah, I did it. And I'm not ashamed of it, okay? Love is love. If your politicians and priests can fuck children, I can fuck a chimpanzee, especially an attractive one. It was giving me the eye. Undressing me with its chimpanzee eyes. So yeah, I had my way with it. It was a moment of passion, heated moment of passion. And of course, what followed was an insanely unpredictable AIDS outbreak. No one could have ever suspected would happen. I didn't think that would happen. And it's like, you guys will sit around and act like, oh, look what he did. How do you think it feels to be me? You never consider that, huh? In any situation. How do you think it feels to be the guy who fucked the chimpanzee and created the AIDS outbreak? Yeah, it's all about the people who got it after, right? This is why 9/11 has gone forgotten. Ground zero. Hello? They always forget about ground zero. It's always everything that happens after that to everyone else. Your thoughts, Eric Nellis? I know that you get what I'm saying. I know you understand.
I sure do. I definitely do. I hope the audience gets it.
All right, I guess final words. Broken System's still kind of dejected and upset because we didn't do what he wants to do, that we don't know what it is because he won't present it, but we're supposed to read his mind. You know, like, you've had a girlfriend like that. She gets dejected, like, because you didn't like tap into her and read her mind about what she wants, nor did you do it. It's kind of like, all right, well, maybe we'll have fun in the future. I don't know. Could be better. Yeah, whatever. I'm cool. Everything's great.
It was just another stream of probably confusing my audience, which that's all I do. But I guess.
Did you ever think of insulting the audience? It's worked out great for me.
Well, I haven't quite got there yet. Because I don't watch my audience or
try it out right now. Let's go ahead. Do a simulation. They'll appreciate it. This is a rough and tumble audience, man. They almost see, this is the thing you guys don't get. This audience kind of wants it. They grow up in democracy, right? They grow up in constant humiliation, mockery, sorcery, degradation rituals. They almost feel unfounded if you don't give them a little abuse now and then. Go ahead, try it out. Like, just go ahead. Generally insult the audience. Like, don't make it specific necessarily. Just generally insult them all. And then see what you're saying, who it applies to individually. Because they'll just pop out and say, I'm totally not that. That's how you know that person is that. You didn't even say anything specific to them. You go, you're all fucking slaves. And then 3 of them pop out and go, how dare you? No, I'm not. Those are the 3 slaves. The rest of the audience just like, haha, look at Paulie Boy. He's doing his thing. The whole slaves, the whole bit. It's kind of true. They sit there and they go, it's kind of true. He's not wrong. But try it out, please. Get out of your box. Get out of your shell. Look, there's 10 more people just joined. Insult them too.
Yeah, well, thank you for the 10 new people that joined. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to the wonderful broadcast with Eric Nellis. He's looking for Facebook followers.
I can't teach him anything.
Please follow Eric Nellis over on Facebook. We love you.
Be pathetic and beg. They love that. Oh, he's so nice. He's being pathetic and begging. Insult them. Say, what are you fucking pathetic slaves going to do? Vote tonight and pay tax? Come on over to Eric Nellis's live stream, and you're going to get more of me insulting you. In truth, you need it.
I don't know if Paul will be there.
I won't be there.
I don't know if I would be there, but I would check it out. I would give it a try, Eric. I don't know what you offer as far as content. So far, what I've seen is when folks come up on a panel and then they want to present content, very rarely is it good content. I mean, Paul had.
How does this guy have all of my history down? How does he? Did someone send him the documents? It's true. I saved Jennifer $12 on the home. It's a great deal, incredible deal. Way ahead of the game.
Fantastic. See? I mean, that's a bonus.
God. They're obsessed.
So yeah, there's folks that want to know personal details about folks on YouTube, and it's very strange. I don't get it. Do you get that over on Facebook, Eric? Do folks poke their nose like in personal business over on Facebook? That's like none of their business. Do they?
Yeah. Oh, the weirdos. Facebook's loaded up with them.
Yeah, I'm over on Facebook. Nobody talks to me on Facebook.
You're not getting it. You're not getting it. You let them into your business and then say it's none of their business. You did that. I did that. But I don't do what you do. I'm not going to go, it's none of your business. I let them into my life. Of course, they're going to talk about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Paul is so weak. This goofy bitch. I unblocked this is what's amazing. I unblock all these people like once every 2 months, and they all are there the whole time. They never left. But then they appear again. Like, this goofy bitch won't go away. I unblocked her today in the studio, and she's here again. And it's been like weeks. Seriously, they have like so much bad to say about me, but they won't leave.
Come up on the panel.
It's just like the pimp and hoe dynamic. Like, you come home every day, you sit on the couch, start talking shit with whoever, and then these bitches are there, and they got negative shit to say, but they won't leave. Hey, like, you're just gonna suck my dick and hate every day? Like, go get your own fucking life. Get the fuck out. And they're like, well, we don't like you, but we're not leaving. I go, man, this is really pathetic. I don't even know how to use them.
Well, I would say,
right,
to those broken,
Josh, please.
those broken souls in the chat, there will be a way.
Right. The only
for you
problem
one
is to
day.
hear from your channel and your chat, ironically.
Oh, that's no surprise. That's
Yeah,
the
that's
chat.
why you're broken soul, broken trust. You broke the trust with me because you keep bringing these broken soul clowns in here. Shit
Well,
on me.
it would be great if you brought up like the chain link comments and like welcome. There's genuine viewers that watch my channel, but the majority of folks are going to be trolls. I attract a truckload of trolls no matter where I go. I've been told that's a sign of good things, but I don't know. I don't see the good that comes from the trolls. The only thing good
It
I've
makes
seen come
sense
from
that they're trolling you. That's the thing. If you're going to troll, do it right. You don't troll someone who's way more attractive and just better at conversation and co-creation than you. That makes no sense. You troll the people who are like you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't get why they troll me, but I get a
That's not
truckload.
trolling. They're not trolling me. They're just hating on me. Trolling is when someone is like bizarre and has little to say and they're on here lisping and then getting like weird like you. That's like where they troll. They're not trolling on me. I'm great at what the fuck I do in my own way. They're just hating. You understand?
Yeah. Well, I attract a lot of haters too. I attract a shit.
No, those are trolls for you. And then they're starting to hate on me. They're trolling for you with good reason. They're hating on me because they're like, who's this guy he brought around who's confident and faithful and can talk with rapidity and fluidity? He's like impassioned and entertaining. Man, it's like everything that broken system is not. And they latch onto me and start hating on me. Your trolls turned into haters. That's a testimony to how like powerful I am. I turn trolls into fucking full on haters.
Yeah, it's magical. It really is magical. But what I was trying to say, going back to like attracting a truckload of trolls that turn into haters on you, I've been told it's a good thing to attract a shit
Where
ton
do
of
you
trolls.
think
You're
you
doing
are
something.
now, dumbass?
I don't know if that's true. Yeah, it's something I was told, but I don't know if it's true.
There's probably a 10% chance it's true.
10%. What's Paul's percentage? Paul, what percentage do you think might be true on that one?
Final
What
words?
statistics and probability wise? Well, for some reason, my final words, because I'm down to like 7% battery life, which nobody cares about.
A lot of
but
does go
final
on
words
here.
for me. Thank you for that. Thank
You're
you.
an idiot. You're not listening to
So
anything I'm
again,
saying.
okay, we're gonna give this another try, guys. Thank you for being patient. You're such.
I'm fucking sick of you.
You're the most patient audience in the world.
You guys
I
are
love
fucking
the
pathetic. Beyond pathetic.
So, anyways, I again will try to get these final words
Do
out.
you know
and Eric,
where you are right now?
God bless Eric. God bless Eric for being such a trooper through this. Fuck. Okay, so
Oh, go ahead. I don't know why. Why are you pausing for this? There's a no audio clip. You can talk.
yeah, you know what I mean? I'm so happy my final words are like taken in, such seriousness because, the ascension of all this is unstoppable for some reason, for some crazy reason. The ascension just keeps happening. And it just keeps going to another level. No matter what we do, you can put up bullshit, and for some reason, it just keeps growing. And I don't know why. I don't know why. For some crazy reason, the universe has selected this experience to grow into what it has, and it's just going to keep growing.
What are you doing?
So thank you for being such a wonderful audience today. You guys are fantastic down there.
This is your.
You're lovely people. I can't see you, but I'm guessing that you're all lovely in your own way. And I guess that's where I'll wrap up. Fuck yeah. We just wrap this thing up with a bow.
Put a dot on it. Put a dot on. Hey, if I'm giving final words, I'd just say thank you, Paul. Keep up the good work. Everybody do what it is you're going to do. If you're going to do it well. Whatever it is, do it very, very well.
Right.
Agreed.
All right, get out.
Let me find the kick myself out button.
I love you, brothers.
See you, Eric.
Feeling complete.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just bounce and hit the button myself. I'm down to 7%, but thank you for hosting a live stream. And
Where do you think you are now, dumbass?
Tailcot always gets me, man. Tailcot always gets me. All right, guys, take care.
All right, bye. Oh, man, another resoundingly successful broadcast, huh? Yeah, we're coming at you. All right, I'll be back tomorrow, somewhere between 12 and 3 MDT. We don't stop. I am Paulie DeCastro, and yes, I have broad shoulders, and I know you're shaking at just the thought of that. My alpha male prowess. Yeah, Mazel from out west. It was great here today. It was good vibe. We ran the numbers up. Yeah, it's just like, okay, new rule. Like Bill Maher, new rule. When folks come here, just restream. Less you, more me. More of you restreaming me to your channel and less you talking on your channel restreaming me. Right? Right. Okay. I'm out of here, folks. Say goodnight to the bad guy. It's tough being this bad.
Me, I always tell it, even when I lie. So say good night to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again.
The great reset's happening. So when you get all your pretty and nice shit taken away and your bullshit job that leads to nowhere, and you're forced back on the land and have to be self-sustainable and co-creative and work with what is, this talk about your feelings and your ego is going to go right out the window, because the God and the elements and nature are going to present what needs to happen next 9 out of 10 times. That's the difference between me and you. I got it in me, not on me, just like you do. I'm trying to work it out, bring the subconscious to the conscious and figure out who and what I am. Am I good or evil? Am I real and true? Am I a narcissistic, egotistical deceiver? That's the difference. I'm actually authentically trying to work it out while you lie to everyone and project your negative aspects of self onto me, and I don't appreciate it. And the universe don't appreciate it either. And the students of life in this audience don't appreciate it either. This isn't about love and money. This isn't about chasing bags or anything else in and of the world. This is about the philosophy, right? The love of knowledge, the love of wisdom, the love of understanding of self and applying it to actualize and realize and get better results for yourself and everyone else. I thought that's what we were doing here. So let's get the game back in its proper perspective. The motherfucker doing this shit shouldn't have to talk about it because you folks want to lie on it. It's embarrassing to me. I didn't come on here with the intention or the understanding that this is supposed to be for business or a hobby. That's why I show up the way I do 500 days straight. That's why I have a care in my heart with passion. That's why I do what's true and what's right and see through you motherfuckers and get amazing results for me. We can't allow the generalized experience of life and everything it has to offer, good, bad, and indifferent, to hold us back or keep us paralyzed or keep us fearful or self-doubting or unloving and uncaring of ourselves. How do I know? Because I look into me. That's all this is. I can see further than the rest. I can interpret beyond what's told and shown, and I can amalgamate and communicate the cause and effect and the root of the state of consciousness and awareness. That is a astounding testimony to the work that I've done on myself in this world and in this life, and the practices I've walked with other people. The question and answer, the fellowship, the co-creational endeavors, and the conversation that leads to understanding. But again, we can't appeal to false emotions and false authority. That is the cornerstone of cognitive dissonance. You can't say that I'm respectable, righteous, honorable, presentable, and then I have balls, and then turn around and hate me or catch feelings over me, be in that and live in that when you don't like it, or when it doesn't turn out as favorably for you as you would have hoped or expected, right? That's the theme of a true common bond that goes long term versus the shallow, materialistic, worldly connections that come and go. Yeah, it is what it is. Some people are down forever. Some people are down for the ride until they got to get off, right? And some people ain't down at all. So through the life experiences, firsthand experiences, through the tests and challenges, you learn more and more who and what is meant for you, and who or what is probably not going to be able to sustain the ride. And that's okay.
God of all media,